Alrighty, boys and girls, good morning, good morning. Welcome in. Hope we're doing well. Hope we all had a good weekend. Refreshed, ready for season 3. What is likely, or not only likely, actually the final season. Hang on. It's kind of dark in here, isn't it? Here's me trying to get stuff set up. Boom! Flashbang. Okay, that's a little bit bright. Maybe we need to counteract this a little bit. Please hold. There we go. It looks a little bit more like it's daytime in here. Poppies. Kahani with a 20 stream streak. Goldson with a streak as well. The Met spin. Is that what that emote is? That's Met spin is only one character away from a shocking memory of my youth. If you know, you know. Right. I was scouting for some opportunities to get some gear before we get into season 3 so we can smash. Makes me think that doing some M0s might not be a terrible idea today. If anybody's interested in doing some M0s, we might look at doing some of that. I figured out that the flipping... Well, I didn't figure it out. I got told. Flipping Heroic Visions are dishing out veteran weapons. So I was like, oh, alright, then I'll have an 8 of 8 veteran weapon before the season already starts. Then a 691 weapon. Sure, it's not champion. Sure, it's not like anything particularly great, but it was still better than my piece of crafted gear until we get the opportunity to upgrade this later in the season. We will probably upgrade this first. DPS and Hunter, you know, weapon is big stat stick. So it made a lot of sense to grab one of these, and we're overflowing with flipping Valor Stones, and this costed like basic crests to upgrade, so this seemed like a bit of a no-brainer before we go into next week. M0's are dishing out 681s, I think. If we look at any of the regular dungeons, M0s seem to be 681s, but at the very least they are on the champion track, which means they're not particularly more valuable than what I have on hand now. What I currently have is what we're currently going to find is that like 681 is kind of capped. We can't go any further because it's all season 2 stuff. Some 1 of 8 champion gear that can probably go pretty high. So it might not be a terrible idea to do some M0s today or tomorrow. Not decided. Today or tomorrow. Maybe. Yeah, poppies is an interesting topic that maybe I will discuss a couple of times because it's just kind of cool, isn't it? I did go see some puppies yesterday. So many puppies yesterday. There's some pictures in the Discord. So many puppies. Most litters of puppies are about 5 or 6 puppies. This litter was 11 puppies. Plus the owner already had 4 dogs, so mum of the litter plus 3. So plus 11. There was 15 dogs running around yesterday. It was really fun. 11 of them tiddly little puppies. We have our name down for one of them. She comes home on Friday. I don't think my 2 puppies know what's going to hit them. Might just be able to see Papo in the corner here. Nipsu is off screen. But we have a 3rd puppy being added to the mix on Friday. So I don't know if that's... I don't know if it was a sensible idea or not. But at the end of the day, 4-legged friends are friends. So that's going to be fun. It's going to make streaming interesting for the next few weeks, for sure.
Is that your
Based
wallet?
on the fact that there will be a small little monster running around behind me that I will have to half be trying to keep an eye on whilst also streaming. I'm going to rely on you guys to maybe tell me if it's doing something it shouldn't be. Cheerleader with a 25, thank you very much. Good morning, welcome in. Hope you had a good weekend. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, some puppy hype. There's some pictures in the Discord if you're interested. Jump in the Discords. I did post a few yesterday. I had to be slightly careful with what I post because I don't want to give out too much, you know, like geolocation or... Mrs. Manthias likes to stay off camera, so you see her feet in the video, but that's about it. She wasn't the one wearing the dirty Crocs, by the way, for reference. For those who care. But yes. See if I can find... Can I show this? Nothing I know that shouldn't be shown. She is coming home on Friday. She's coming home on Friday. She's beautiful. Maybe consider the white rugs for a while. Yeah, this rug... might need to come up temporarily. A, so it doesn't get ruined, and B, so it doesn't get chewed, and all of the above. We might need to reconsider that, and I have my PCs on the floor, so I got to check about. I got to get into like cable mode and puppy mode. I've not done this for 8 years. I can't remember what having a puppy's like. I guess we'll find out. Is this some multi-boxing? I see, what a scumbag. Yeah, what an absolute animal. What an absolute animal. Welcome in, Stro. Good morning, good morning. So yeah, there could be a touch of chaos for the next few weeks with this little monster. She comes home on Friday. We go pick her up on Friday at some point. So if there's not a stream on Friday, it's because I'm going to collect a puppy. We haven't been given a time when we can go and collect her yet. So all we know is we get her on Friday. We kind of haven't figured out a name yet. Because any of you that have ever bought a puppy, you'll know that they have like a government name, which is based upon like the breeder and then their own like mini name, but most people don't call them that because they're often kind of silly names. She's called White Toe. legally she's called White Toe because she's got a white bit on one of her paws. Yeah, that's obviously not going to be what she will be called long term. Just call it Dog. Yeah, exactly. Just Dog. There's not a stream on Friday because you're collecting the puppy. We'll forgive you. Well, fun fact, there might actually then be a stream on Saturday if there isn't one on Friday due to my wife is going out for dinner she's had something arranged for weeks. She's going out for dinner on Saturday. So I'll have to fend for myself with the new puppy. And hey, we might just throw the stream up and play some video games. See if season 3 is popping off at that point. So yeah, that was my weekend. DIY on Saturday and then puppies all day yesterday. Oh boy, did my 2 dogs, did Papu and Nipsu, like give me the full inspections when I came home yesterday though. I had like 15 different dog smells on me. They were like, where have you been? What have you been doing? But it was fun. It was fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm like a child at Christmas. Technically, it's my birthday next month, so this is kind of my birthday present to myself. So it should be fun. Right, should we actually play some video games rather than just stand around in the city doing nothing? Hey, look at this person with this person with a long boy. Look at this person with a fancy long boy. You know what I can do now? I can go, boom, matchy matchy now. How about that? Genius. Genius. We can play matchy matches now. Now, story of my life. His is bigger. Fucking hell. Right, let's go do some Patreon orders quickly to begin with. Welcome to the club. Thank you, thank you. When did we get this? I got it the other day. There's a clip on the channel. Goldson actually clipped it and threw it up on Twitter, I think. Right, let's see if there's any... Oh, wow, that's big numbers. How the hell is that making money? Augment runes? Augment runes cash money again? Since when are augment runes cash money? It doesn't happen. I don't need artisan security. We're not doing those ones, are we? Just do the ones that make money. So yeah, unfortunately, the Mantheus does not own a Longboy meme is well and truly dead now, since I actually now have both of them. The only place I'm missing the OG Longboy is on the NA account, but I'm missing everything on the NA account, so that doesn't really matter. Is that the only thing we needed to do that entire list of orders? Surely not. Surely not. Yeah, the OF command is no more. Because it's no longer true. No longer true. We unfortunately killed a meme. Token peaked at 450 earlier. Jesus. Woof. Tell you what, the last few months of this expansion are going to get spicy if you're paying month by month. Christ. 450 up to 450 a month is pretty wild. That is pretty wild. Oh, I get it. All of these had all materials provided. Well, that's a luxury you don't see very often. Well, free money. We take it. Yoink. Right, let's go do jewel crafting. I wonder if some of the other materials are starting to spike in price as well. I would imagine it's starting to snowball now, with everybody prepping for next week. We you know, things are on the rise, and then they take a bit of a dip initially, and then they just go bananas for a week. And that's when you cash out and sell everything. This really means I need to get the rest of these dudes finishing their thaumaturgy for the week. Otherwise, we won't have too much to sell. Maybe I'll log them in now to get them doing exactly that. I need to decide if I want to go any further than just purely one level in thaumaturgy. I don't know whether I want to then go as far as to prospect some of the ore. Gems will also see a peak, a spike in price, but it's usually off the back of the fact that we got to wait for people to get some gear first. There's not quite as much of a rush on gems, but it's equally a good way to add some extra bit of value to the mats.
Have anything ancient to trade? Needs to be at least 2 centuries old.
Whoa! Somebody just done a reset on the Blasphemites. Somebody's done a reset on Blasphemites. That's fucking bold. That's bold. We might have a bit of that. We might have a bit of that. 200 gold a piece for Blasphemite. Don't mind if I do. We might have a go at some of that. Wasn't me. For once. This one time. This one time. 200 in at 200 a piece is what? Still only 40k, isn't it? Right, it really isn't that much. Really isn't that much. Wow, is the auction house still doing funky stuff? See if that ends up doing anything for a minute. See if there's any bites at 200 a piece. Probably not. Who the hell's buying them at the moment? Saw some weird and wacky. There was a screenshot of somebody that had like found 500 gold personal orders for the Magnificent Jewelers settings. Clearly somebody was having a bad day in the office, because there's not you can buy those off the auction house for a fraction of the price. You have provided Q3 materials. I'm not gonna chance it. For the best case outcome is like 100 gold on that. Sorry, mate. I'm saving my orders for something more constructive than that one. Okay, why has this gone bananas? Broke it. Blamed. Oh, wait, did I not? Aha, I used the wrong longboy. It's not going to work if I don't pick up the mats I just bought, is it? Oh, something was going funky then. Learned my lesson the hard way. I wonder if they're going to take thaumaturgy into the next expansion. It feels very much like it could just be a War Within system, and that they might not copy-paste it into Midnight. Because it's not really, you know, it's not a... Although I wonder if they do consider it a bit of a staple of alchemy these days now. I wonder if they think that it did a good enough job at, like, what it was designed for. And in a way, when you look at the quantity of materials for the most part, I think it did a really reasonably good job. Because it's a very destructive process. It literally deletes 50% of the materials. It's a good exit strategy for some of the farmed mats, which, in a weird way, the more people that do thaumaturgy, it actually helps rise the prices of everything, and makes it so that not any single base material just stocks up and up and up and up and up, regardless to how much skinners have tried. The reality is that thaumaturgy is able to come along and delete the materials significantly faster than even the skinners are able to produce it, which is, I think, from an economy perspective, kind of good. It means if one thing gets hyper over-farmed, it doesn't completely tank into the ground. But it has kind of created a weird scenario where herbalism and mining for most of the expansion was a bit of kind of like, well, what, don't bother. Kind of odd. Kind of strange that it wasn't really worthwhile going out and doing herbalism and mining, because skinning was just producing twice as many base materials in the same amount of time. So, yeah, it's good for the normalization. Yeah, very good. Kind of like helps balance things a little bit if stuff goes... There's one thing that's very, very difficult to do, I suspect this is the case generally. It seems very difficult to predict exactly how the economy is going to play out. So, I mean, Blizzard internally, right, they probably have a lot more skill at doing this than just me sitting here looking at it. But I think they probably have to... They probably looked at thaumaturgy and was like, okay, well, this will like balance out any anomalies. This will make it so that if we've messed up over here and we've left some farm like unchecked for too long, then the influx of material from that isn't going to completely nuke that profession for the rest of the expansion, right? It will get hoovered up and it will get converted into all of the materials, and then in the process it deletes 50% of them. And so generally speaking, it sort of, you know, the economy self-rights itself, which is kind of a cool concept, if you ask me. I just kind of think it's a very, very clever system. It's one of the most clever things I think they've added to the professions in a long time. It's just going to be... It'll be interesting if we do get thaumaturgy again in Midnight, because now this time people know how it works, right? And people will be looking at it with 2 or 18 months of experience playing with it already to find out if it's people will be more switched on to getting it up and running nice and quickly. Because I remember in the early days of Season 1, you could just straight up buy materials and break them down into other materials, and that process alone was profitable. Before you even took the... What are they called? The transmutagens, and broke those down. All your transmutagens and all your gleaming transmutagen were bonus profit for a long time. You could just quite simply take raw materials and break them into other raw materials, and you were just making cash money hand over fist at the beginning of the expansion before people really got the maths down, which was quite interesting to see. I don't think that scenario will quite last as long if they do add it again next expansion. Let's get some of these guys doing a little bit of summing, just whilst tinker on the other accounts. Main account. Yeah, my question is, do I want to go like 2 phases deep with this? Do I want to then look at processing all of the Ironclaw ore? It depends, really. It depends if the quality 2 mats that we've generated from this see a significant uptick in value or not. To whether we choose to go 2 layers deep or just 1 layer deep. Wonder if the professions will get a mention at all at Gamescom. Well, it's going to be very, very hard to talk about player housing without talking about professions, because that short term is likely to be where a lot of the stuff will come from. I would fathom a guess that the design is that they want to let crafters go and get a bunch of materials and a bunch of patterns and craft a bunch of stuff and put it on the auction house. So it's kind of ready, you know, day one for people to come and buy a token and then just buy a shitload of fucking decor items to go and play with. I do wonder how Blizzard are going to launch housing, whether there will be a... I mean, they can't give you a completely blank canvas. They're going to have to give you like a base collection of decor items, I would imagine. But I would also guess that the concept and the theory is that, okay, well, crafters have had time to go get some recipes and craft a bunch of stuff and put it on the auction house. Those who want to pad their collection nice and early will do it via crafted decor items, I would suspect. Then players can spend time going out and collecting all of the, you know, the bind on pickup collectible decor stuff themselves. But that big initial Zerg starter pack style decor pack, I would imagine, if Blizzard had any sense, would be sort of promoted to be crafted stuff. Because you bet your ass somebody will come in and they'll be like, oh, okay, I'll just buy a token or 2 or however much it costs to buy like one of everything. You know, one of every crafted decor item off the auction house. I can definitely see that scenario happening. Which will be good news for goblins, I'm sure. Real good news for goblins. Let's smush some of this down. Right, get them doing their thing. They're all doing their thing. We've done patron orders on this dude. I should probably do the patron orders on some of my other fellas. I should also transfer my materials out the way. Start to stack up. Oh my god, I nearly died. Lord have mercy. How much gold will it cost for a housing plot? Oh, it'll be some tiddly amount. It'll be like 10k or something. It won't be anything that breaks the bank. It's not in Blizzard's interest, I don't think, to make unlocking it expensive in the first place. They're making cash money off it by putting it as a early access pre-order bonus, aren't they? So they don't really have any incentive for those who have already paid money to access it to, like, I mean at the end of the day this is Blizzard, but they don't really have the necessary need to nickel and dime and double dip, as they say. It makes a lot more sense to me that they just get you that plot like real fast, real quick time, real easy. That'll do for now. Right, let's get the page. Where did that put us knowledge point wise? 41 knowledge points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 160 points needed. We still need about 120 points to finish leatherworking. That's going to take a lot longer than I want it to. Jewel crafting, we are. Oh, hello, we got bonus points here. Please hold. Oh shit! I've just sent all those materials away, and I hadn't opened all these goodie bags. Uh, 52 points here. We got 2 trees to fill. 2046, 120. Okay, so we need less points in jewel crafting to cap that out. But we're getting there. We're getting there slowly and surely. Just need to keep up the daily patron orders, and we'll get there. We'll get there. They did say we get some stuff old achievements, so that's a start. That's true. Yeah. If they're going to retrofit decor rewards into old achievements, those of us that have played the game for a while might end up with a bit of a bump in early decor stuff to play with. Not going to lie, it's going to be really fun running around and picking everything up, gathering all the recipes. We might have to like switch to a really focused decor crafting, selling, cross-realm shenanigans kind of like... we might have to switch our focus to that for a few weeks for sure. Farm recipes by day, flip and sell by night. That is that is dependent on whether they do actually make the decor items region wide or realm specific. The decor cartel, yeah, it might be a little bit of some in going on there for sure. There's opportunities. Oh, and of course, yeah, like combining as many decor items together as possible to make the most phallic-shaped objects. You can, yeah, of course, gamers will do gamer things. Let's not be silly. I don't think there's going to be a neighborhood out there that doesn't have a massive dick statue in somebody's front garden.
Frustration, Gaora, but do not rush to conclusions.
do some more gear on these alts as well, to be fair, but blacksmithing orders, let's have a little look. Actually, you know what, I bet I haven't done this week. I bet I haven't even picked up my weekly blacksmithing order quest thingy, have I? No, I haven't. Of course I haven't. This is what I mean, right? I can't get to Monday without even of picking up the flipping basic patron order quest. This is why I never complete blacksmithing, because I just do not keep up with it.
The winds guide you.
Cannot be Monday and it be the first time we're doing a patron order on blacksmithing. That's just bad mojo. I mean, this is 421 points behind regarding patron orders. That'll do. Q3 mats. Go on then, sure, whatever. If the feature has high TTP, it's too restrictive. Time to phallic? what are we... Hang on, something's gone over my head there. I've missed something. Yeah, player housing is definitely going to need a nice set of like early beginner decor items for people to tinker with. But it's still really weird that it feels like decor can't be that, you know, player housing can't be that far away now, considering we're going to get the Gamescom midnight announcement on the 19th. We assume, I think it's a pretty safe assumption, that we will get the pre-order for midnight going live that same day. And the pre-order does contain early access to housing. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean housing is going to turn up anytime soon, but it will be a strong driving force for pre-orders. You'd think they'd want to get it out soon. Oh, another one. You want some more gear? What are people making? 675 stuff. Fill a few bonus orders while we're here, why not? Gamescom this week. The 19th, whatever day that lands on. No, it's going to be next week, isn't it? Next Tuesday, maybe? But yeah, that's when the official midnight announcement is. And like I said, considering we already know the expansion is coming, what it's called, roughly when we're going to get it, like there has to be something that's actually announcement worthy. And I hope it's more than just pre-orders go live today. It's, you know, an announcement has to have some meat behind it. And there isn't much meat in you can give us money today if you wish. There has to be a reason for us to give them money today. If they're going to launch the pre-order, it has to come with something juicy, you know? Or an announcement about an announcement. Yeah, that's another possibility. But my hope is that with everything that we already know is coming, we at the very least get a date for something important, whether it be Legion Remix or housing. I'll take either. It would be nice to get a solidified date, or even Alpha. Fuck, even Midnight Alpha would be a nice announcement to see. like I said, even not necessarily alpha goes live, but like this is when it's happening, something or other, you know. Solid factual information, Blizzard. That's what we want. That's what we would like. 29. Are you shitting me? We go hand in that weekly quest. We'll get the other points.
What brings you here? Winds be at your back.
Okay. Right, that means we should just be on the final stretch-ish with blacksmithing. Say final stretch-ish. Ever-burning forge is done. Means of production is done. Weaponsmithing still has its outer row. Armor smithing has its outer row. The point is I've unlocked all of the recipes that are to unlock here. No, that's actually a big stinky lie. You unlock more recipes further through these trees as well, do you? My guess is that they'll announce that Alpha is available now. Well, Alpha's never available. Alpha's always an invite-only thing. So, that's not really something that will... it's of interest to the people that get the invites, obviously, but that's not something that's going to sell boxes. It's not something that's going to sell pre-orders. Having the Alpha just turn up. This is why I don't think it's something that they will push for. I think we're more likely to see a housing or a Legion remix. More substantial information on either or. Alpha's just going to happen sometime in September, I think, anyway. And it won't really be that structured. It'll just be like, boom, here you go. Content creators will go do their thing. Streamers will do their thing. News blogs will come out about a bunch of stuff. Feedback will be obtained, and then I think Alpha's usually sort of a 4 to maybe 6 week thing. 4 weeks seems about right. I vaguely remember last time they did the Alpha, not that I got in it, but like they staggered the zones. So the main content zones, there was 4 zones, obviously, for an 11.0 launch. I think they did like Isle of Dawn 1 week, you know, another one another week, another one another week. And the Alpha didn't last that long. Feedback will be obtained and then ignored. The usual stuff. That is, the glass is half empty. But I kind of agree with you. How many points are these outer nodes? Oh, these have 25 points on the outer nodes. Oh, Jesus. That's 100, 225 just in this tree. 225. I'm 325 points away with blacksmithing still. This is never happening, is it? I don't think there's enough days between now and midnight for me to actually finish blacksmithing. Even if I do it every day. I don't think this is ever happening. Blacksmithing is just cooked, I think. We might have to just accept defeat on blacksmithing. Alright, let's check the others. Part of their expected announcement was already weakened by their accidental leak. Oh, you mean like the info about what comes in what pack? Yeah, you might be right. Can't wait for the deep dives of the expansion professions. I look forward to doing that again, if I'm honest. I'm not going to lie, Alpha and Beta season is actually almost my most enjoyable time. Because there's lots of sort of new stuff to dive into. It's why my focus on the PTR for 11.1 and 11.2 has been basically next to none. Because soon as you can very quickly determine that there's nothing new coming from the profession standpoint, I could of course just rehash old content with the same conclusion being that there's nothing new, but this is a refresh of everything that you could or should know already. You know, I could do 15 videos a patch on that basis if I really wanted to, but Just feels like cheesing ad revenue at that point, which I'm not about. But yeah, alpha and beta, when there's actually plenty of stuff to sort of try and see and try and work out. And more importantly, like I've always said, the alpha for me is the most important time to get feedback in, because I think it's early enough in the development cycle and not too late for any meaningful feedback to actually maybe come of something. It gives Blizzard enough time, you know, if they throw something out on the alpha and people just take one whiff of it and they're like, oh, that stinks, then there's time for them to do something about it. 500 gold on fibers. I'd do 500 gold on fibers. Okay, this is funny. People are giving smaller tips, but then they're using Q3 mats. I'm willing to risk it on a resourcefulness proc. Hey! Kind of like that. 2 exquisite weavercloth bolts and a gleaming shard at Q3 saved. Does that amass to a greater value? That's 250 gold. 300 and some in gold. Okay. The irony of that, even with a resourcefulness proc, the 500 gold ones are actually worth more to me. I'm going to do that one just because I've got a first time craft on it. Not that that really matters, but... yeah, that kind of means that the 500 gold ones are still worth more for me than even a resourcefulness proc on somebody that provides all Q3 mats. Weird. Do one last one. And I'm out of daily orders now. You watch. Now I'm out of flipping daily orders. Like 25k will pop up or something. Maybe we should just not look. Stop looking. Stop looking. You can't get hurt. Right. No, 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 no. Don't care how much you make me. Wrong button. Something else I want to maybe have a little bit of a look at. I don't know if it's a today job. But I want to... missing Mosswall thread. How is that possible? We just bought Mosswall thread. Did I not loot it from the mailbox again? I want to double check the viability of enchanting concentration builds. Even though we are pretty late into the season. Even being quite late into the expansion, sorry. I want to check just how much we can expect to pay to... hello? Are we disconnected? Are we dead? We effed? This is a lag spike and a half, if not. Okay, I seem to have disconnected on my main account. Are these still alive? Yeah, they work, but they're hella slow. Okay, you're still working. Not working hard, but hardly working. I had a 15,000 gold and rank 3 mats public order yesterday for fiber. Oh, they'll pop up. They'll pop up from time to time. Nice cheeky one when you grab them. Okay, now it works. We just had an omega lag spike for some reason. Wait, what? Why did that button look different all of a sudden? Don't know. Knowledge point. Money. Wow, those are real stinky. Yeah, I mainly want to check enchanting concentration bills. I want to do two things with it, really. I want to assess what is the absolute bare minimum to the point to get a character to the point where absolute bare minimum gold cost to get a character to the point where they can take Q2 mats and make Q3, even if it takes like 50% of your concentration bar. What is the absolute bare minimum entry to a concentration alt? I reckon you can get it below 10k these days. Sub 10k is probably possible. And at that point, you don't need to craft many enchants to make that back. I mean, heck, you could go do a lap of World Quests on that character and make the 10k in the first place. That's another way you could approach it, I suppose. Okay, this is all gone completely doolally. If you can get the cost to like 10k, then it basically isn't really a cost at that point, because there's probably 10,000 gold on that character's map at any given point. I mean, you can throw 20 minutes at it and just get it done. Like, shouldn't be a concern at that point. Do I not get the mats out of the flipping mailbox again? Do I do this every time? Yeah, I do that every time. But simply because enchanting concentration has been thrown around so much this expansion as like the way to make gold for a newbie. The question always is does it work at the end of the expansion? Because, of course, people are going to be looking, especially with a midnight pre-order coming out, people are going to want $50 a Blizzard balance, like double time. And if they can do it with the characters and, you know, with the stuff they already have, there'll be players that will do exactly that. And more importantly, is it more viable than just picking up Herbalism mining and flying around for a few hours? Since when you get to the end of the expansion, your options are usually pretty limited. 18 points to spend in inscription. We capped Avantus runes, missives, and contracts. They're the only things we really needed. I could arguably... The fact that I never bothered to do chef's rolling pins, mixing rods, or scribe... I think it's because I did this on another one of my scribes, and so I didn't bother doing it on this one. This is my main scribe, who needs everything by the end of the expansion. Also, these flipping 30, 60... Wow, there's 120 points in these flipping sigils. God, I am miles behind with inscription as well, aren't I? Oh my god. Tell us about the puppies. They look super cute. Welcome in, Chris. Good morning. Mr. Norton, how we doing? How we doing? Yeah, I spoke about the puppies a little bit earlier in the stream. Yes, yesterday was spent playing with 11 little puppies, one of which we have our name on, and it comes home on Friday. She is beautiful. I don't know what more there is to say, really. It's Yeah, hella cute. Gonna be fun. Pics in the Discord. Is there any like recipe unlock stuff? Oh my god, look at the amount of recipes I don't own. Never bothered to go pick up half of the contracts because they're way out of date now and it just seems a bit weirdly pointless. We don't get these until we hit Renown 8 with the Maniforged Vandals. And interestingly, we still don't really know what the fucking hell these do. Learn to craft the Vagabond's Torch on unlocking that one. We need a full 30 points in that to unlock it, we do. Right, let's just slam them in here. Whatever. Tailoring. Puppy stream on Friday. Well, we go collect the puppy on Friday. I don't know exactly what time yet. Also, where we collect the puppy from is like almost 2 hours away. So regardless to when during the day we go and get it, it might take me out of action for most of Friday anyway. But there's a good chance on Saturday I'll be streaming anyway. So there's opportunities there. Integrated mantle. Is that the last thing we need other than filling out the outer rows now on tailoring? Yeah. 20, 40, 60, 80, 20, 40, 60, 80. 160 points and I've got 14 of them. Okay, we're getting there, getting there. There's no need to spend these now. I will save these until I get at least 20 of them to fill a node in one go. Also means if for whatever reason on my tail I need to craft a piece of gear, I can min-max that single piece of gear on demand. You only need to unlock the nodes to get the recipes, so it's fine. We can save those points. Did your adult dogs meet? No, we didn't take the dogs with us yesterday, so they won't meet the new puppy until Friday. It was quite amusing when we got home yesterday because both me and Mrs. Manthias were like covered in dog smells. Our two dogs went a little bit bananas. It gave it like their noses were just like attached to our leg. It's kind of quite funny. Be interesting to see their reaction. Well, both of my dogs are female, so they are quite what's the word I'm looking for here? They have the motherly tendencies around other smaller dogs and puppies naturally. Boy dogs tend to be a little bit like, who the fuck are you? What's going on? But like my pair who are fast asleep, both of them right now, are just more intrigued by who are you. They're like, ooh, small dog. Could be fun. I look forward to it. I'm literally like a kid at Christmas right now. It's actually disgusting. I gotta wait till Friday. Sold a few things on this dude apparently. Engineering and alchemy. Start with engineering because it's the painfully annoying one. Not doing that one. Not doing that one. Not doing that one. We'll do those ones though. Junk box. Is that really the only thing we needed? There's a vendor item for starters. Buying those off the auction house is bad mojo, but especially considering the vendor's right next door. What do they cost off a vendor? Oh, 8 gold. How much did I just pay for the junk bucket? 8 gold, 15 silver. Okay, I paid a 15 silver premium, which will actually get absorbed by the auction house, so that seller didn't make a penny. All. Let's go do alchemy. Go get alchemy patron orders done, and then we can actually start playing the game for the day. An hour into the stream, it feels like we might actually get to start playing the game. Oh, I've just realised. I bet we have world quests again, don't we? I bet world quests have come back up again in the new zone. Halfway through the week, you get a refresh, don't you? Oh, that's annoyingly maybe going to be on the list as well, isn't it? Catch that bonus bit of rep before the end of the week. Assuming the world quests are not completely buggy still. I tell you what, some of the world quests in Koresh are arguably some of the worst world quests we've ever had. Mostly because some of them just seem so buggy and broken that they don't really work, but that if they did work as expected, they'd just be on the same level as any other standard-ass world quest. But I'm sure as hell glad that I'm not trying to do the world quests on a million alts this week. Seriously, nothing better than a new puppy. What breed is it? It's going to be the same as the two I have. A Lapland dog. Third Lapland dog. She's going to be a slightly different colour though. She's going to be sort of blonder, slightly orange. Well, you can see in the picture. She's kind of whitish black at the moment. I haven't got pictures of her parents actually. Should have taken a picture of the mum and the dad, but she's going to be kind of like golden sort of gingery kind of color with some black bits running through. Is what they suspect her final colors will be. Yeah, Lapland dog. Have you decided the name, and is it Gallywix? We haven't really decided the name. We have a short list of a couple. No, Gallywix is not on the list. Gallywix is not any of them. I'm not really... like, it's weird. My wife can come up with names, like, way in advance. And she's just like, oh, I just like this name, and I like that name. And I'm like, well, I want to wait until we get the dog. Zalatath, maybe? Jesus. I want to wait till we get the dog. So then, you know, you get a bit of a sense. You can fit the name to the... you know, fit the name to the animal. Feels weird to me to just pick a random name without knowing, like, the personality of the dog or what. Metzen? It's nothing Warcraft related. I can absolutely guarantee you that much. Absolutely guarantee you that much. The best and the worst times. Got serious puppy regret after my latest. He's normal and it was worth it. He's worth it now though. But yeah, it's when they start eating everything and shitting on the floor and you got to clean up puddles of piss 12 times a day, it can sometimes be a little bit frustrating, but ultimately puppies are the coolest thing on the planet. And I am slightly biased. Oh, we finished the herb tree now. Finished herbs, finished potions, finished thaumaturgy. Oh, just flasks to go. Okay, cool. And engineering, I don't think I care about the knowledge points really, to be honest. We're just filling nodes at this point. Right. Curiosity. What is the cash money situation with thaumaturgy right now, based on the current prices of mats? So I can compare against what I paid for my mats, and we can see roughly what sort of profit we're looking at here. Stormcharged leathers are the cheaper ones right now, but is there actually any decent quantity? Some, but not a lot. We're looking at basically 8 gold a piece if you want to buy it in any sizable amount. But interestingly, there isn't that much leather even. There's a real glut of leather there. You could literally reset the supply of Stormcharged leather at rank 1 for less than 1 million gold. Damn. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody do that based upon the fact that you can bet your ass that 100k of materials would come back pretty quick, but that's a surprisingly low amount of leather. 40k sat in here, 29k there, then you're into the 8s, 9s, 10s. Big block of it at like 12. Only 1 million gold to reset both variations of Stormcharged leather. That's kind of crazy. What's Gloomkite saying? Not huge amounts of this either, to be honest. Flipping out. $1.2 million for a reset on Gloomkite and all. Christ. Have you heard that 11.2 or maybe Blizzard themselves made something with loot dropping when you farm in open worlds? The old mats are skyrocketing. Are you referring to the fact that they've basically nerfed any... Yeah, you can't farm... Student has 2 videos about it. Yeah, but he's probably just rehashing what happened in 11.1 is to indicate that it's still happening now. It looks like they changed... I've had my theory on this. My theory is probably slightly different to students. But basically what they've done is on any old material and any old, basically, hyperspawn, which were most commonly used to farm the old material stuff, they've basically made it now that you get normal standard loot for the first couple of minutes in the zone, basically meaning that if you're questing through that zone, you'll still get loot exactly as you would expect to get when you kill things. You know, a few materials here, a BOE green for there, you know, nothing particularly crazy. But if you stand in that spot, triggering the hyperspawn, nuking things for hours and hours on end, after about 5 minutes, you just stop getting loot. So they've basically put a slam on the brakes of people farming hyperspawns, which realistically is kind of, you know, people farming a hyperspawn for hours and hours on end to get large amounts of green items for transmog or materials to sell is and kind of always has been a bit of a clever use of game mechanics, if you think about it, considering, like, the reason the hyperspawn technology exists in the first place is because when people are questing through a zone, if there's lots of people questing through a zone simultaneously, killing all of the mobs, what they want is they want those mobs to respawn faster, so that people can still progress through their quests at a regular pace. There's nothing worse than, like, people, like, queuing and waiting for mobs to spawn just to get their quests completed, you know? This is why hyperspawns exist, but of course goblins have taken and have used that clever use of game mechanics to, like, just trigger hyperspawns by themselves because they're so overpowered, or in small groups of people, And ultimately, it's probably not something that Blizzard has ever really wanted. But, and when I say people, yes, there is a fraction of people that are not actively people. You all know what I mean. But if that is true, why did Blizzard say to Student and his team that they did not touch anything? Then why don't they just admit it? Student still thinks it's a bug. I'm not convinced Student... I'm not convinced so much that Blizzard have... I haven't seen anything that indicates Blizzard have come out and said that they haven't touched anything. Whether Student knows devs and has DM'd them and has spoke to them personally, that's entirely possible. But there's not been any blue post or anything specifically related to it. I'm not overly convinced that it is a bug. And the reason I say this is because for the most part, I think the reason they've done it is to curb... I think the reason they've done it is to curb the effectiveness of bots, hyperspawn farming, and just vendoring everything, right? In essence, bots are raw gold farming. Bots raw gold farming has been... Because these bots have been able to hide in, like, chromie time layers and stuff, so they're almost invisible to the majority of the player base, but they're able to just, like, create tens of thousands of raw gold every single day, of which creates a black market for it because they're just selling it, right? It's clear and obvious what the stepping stones of that are. Now, Blizzard could do one of two things. They could either just kill the hyperspawn in that spot, but then that goes against why the hyperspawn exists in the first place, or they could make it so that after 5 minutes of killing the same mob, you just stop getting loot, which is what they appear to have done, which actually, in my eyes, seems like the best scenario all around, because it means anybody that goes through the zone is absolutely none the wiser. It's like the throttle on the auction house, for example. If you don't hammer the auction house with cancel scans or posting, you don't know the auction house throttle even exists. But those players who do a lot of auction house stuff are aware of it, and it affects them, and they have to play around it. They've opened like 50 tickets to Blizzard. On every single one of them, the reply was from Blizzard that everything works as intended, no bugs, they didn't change anything. Yeah, but unless the tickets are escalated to somebody that you got to remember there, level 1 Blizzard customer support has absolutely no flipping clue. They read off a sheet. Unless it had been escalated pretty high, like I said, until it's in blue, until it's a blue post, I tend not to believe it. And more importantly, the likelihood is even if they did change anything, they might actually be under instruction to not say anything because it's related to bot prevention. Blizzard never comes out and says anything unless they absolutely have to in that regard. Much like they don't tell you why you get banned. They don't tell you why you get banned. They give you a broad reason to why you got banned, and they ban you much later down the line than when you actually committed the offense. They do this so that you don't know what it was that you did wrong. So, meaning if you're nefarious in your actions, you can't go, okay, this is what got me banned. Maybe I won't do that next time. I will skirt round it, you know? Working as intended can be interpreted a few ways. Oh yeah, exactly. Like if it basically is doing what they want it to do, which is to allow you to quest through there normally. But if you're standing there hyperspawn farming it all day long, whether legitimately on your keyboard and mouse or people are bot farming it, regardless to which the scenario is, they don't want that happening apparently by the looks of things. Like I said, I'm not convinced it's a bug. I fully believe it's an entirely calculated decision, since it is one of the most elegant ways to fix the bot problem that has persisted in low-level zones for a long time now. But yeah, that's my take on it anyway. Not really convinced it's and it basically means that if a large amount of your gold generation was by farming old materials, it does just kind of mean that you have to figure out something new really now. And it's all a little bit too convenient as well, with player housing turning up round the corner. It's all a little bit too convenient that, you know, they're going to be, you know, they're a little bit too convenient that we're going to have need for these old materials to go and craft old stuff. And the likelihood is that more and more people might start going out to these older zones to gather some of those materials themselves. So it's preparation for when that happens. Can you ask? Is that something you can do since you're a partner now? I mean, I can post a question in the feedback channels over on the partner discords, but I would need some, like, solid example of what's happening. But I would also point out, in most cases in the partner discord, you very, very rarely actually get an actual answer from a dev. It's more of a case of, like, noted, thank you. It's more like you're giving feedback or bug report sort of thing. Very rarely will a dev actually come back to you and say yay or nay. Maybe they're making huge gold sinks for housing. Not so much of a gold sink, they're just leveling the playing field. Leveling the playing field. They want it so that if you pick up old recipes, I would imagine, or, you know, classic recipes for decor, if you go out to get those materials, you have an easy way to get those materials. You can go and get a few materials to craft a thing comfortably, but if you start farming for 7 hours straight to sell the rest of them, you're probably not going to be able to. They literally told us to get our professions ready. They showed the screenshots about player housing decor recipes for the Brille coffin, for example. Then Matt stopped dropping. Coincidence? Yeah, exactly. It's, in my opinion, it's no coincidence whatsoever. It's clearly calculated that it's a change that you know, two birds with one stone, right? It means people who are out there hyperspawn farming for hours on end, generating large amounts of materials, either to then sell them or grey items and, like, vendor trash to produce raw gold. It curbs that activity for both legitimate players and for bots, more importantly. And then simultaneously means that when people do start going over there for the purpose of decor crafting, that it's kind of relatively open and fair for all involved. There's a you have to kind of somewhat remember that farming is something that Blizzard want people to be able to farm, but have you ever noticed how the quickest things in this game to get nerfed are farms? Because gamers do gamer things, right? Gamers will find something that the devs didn't intend. And when players find something that the devs didn't intend, it's usually the most lucrative way of doing something. And so people swarm to it like, you know, bees to a honeypot. And if that thing is already not intended, it gets out of control really, really fast. Really, really fast. And so, you know, popular farms are what are nerfed, like, within seconds. Within a day of them turning up, they are often squished. Now, that's not necessarily just true for the current expansion as well. If something old, you know, if some raw gold farm is found, it is in Blizzard's best interest to nuke it, like, relatively effectively. doesn't hurt the big goblins. It just hurts the normal Joe who wants to get from A to B. Oh, it doesn't hurt them at all, though, because the whole point is that you can still go to that zone. You can look up on Wowhead where that material comes from. You can go to that zone and you can pick up a few of those materials for your own personal crafting. Normal Joe gets from A to B just as conveniently as he always did. If normal Joe doesn't want to go to the auction house and pay the auction house price, but instead wants to farm the materials because they have time and not gold, which is completely their choice. If they have time but not gold, then they can go and farm them themselves. Normal Joe's not affected at all. Who did the soft reset on a Kyrite? Has it happened? I was looking at materials a minute ago. This sort of silly stuff will start popping up all over the place. $15 gold a piece for Q1 right now. I don't know if it's so much of a soft reset as much as it is that it's just being consumed, being hoovered up. Q2 a Kyrite, Q3 a Kyrite. There's 160,000 of it at Q2. It's kind of been smushed into. Gone up from 12, 13 gold a piece to basically 16 now. Yeah, this is simply what happens at the beginning of a season. Why I can't wait to liquidate a lot of these items when this does inevitably happen. Some of you guys have stopped doing stuff. Why have you stopped doing stuff? I need you to continue doing stuff. The argument there is I should probably sell some of this Akirite if it's now up to 16 gold a piece. That's 2 gold plus profit per item. Welcome in, Lady Daisy. And of course, welcome Jack, by the way. Welcome, welcome. You get breaking down some of this. Make sure you're all doing something. Be constructive. Why did you stop doing that? We burnt through most of that. Let's find some more. Still don't agree with Blizz on this decision. I love the open world farms. It's made me millions. Now I'm stuck running dungeons. Yeah, I mean, it's... There are often people caught in the crosshairs, in the crossfire, when Blizzard makes changes like this. But like I said, the reason I heavily suspect that they're radio silent on it almost deliberately is because it's a bot prevention thing. They don't openly want to come out there and say, oh yeah, we did this because of X, Y, and Z. They're more likely to just, you know, say everything is working as intended. Please move on. There is no bug here. That said, in 6 months' time, it might get escalated high enough that some dev goes, hang on, this isn't working quite as we expected. And turns out it was a bug all along. But I'm not convinced of that personally. Because the change seems to make a lot of logical sense to me based upon what has been happening. Hey, Drizzling Rose, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. I was telling chat the other day, I was jealous of your slushy machine. Need a on-tap margarita machine. A bit dangerous for stream, though. Wait, did I? No oh, okay, yeah, I know why. Oh, wait, well, hang on, what are we doing? Oh, you don't really have much of anything to break down. Get rid of some of these flipping things. Writhing transmutagens, the bane of my life. I know they're still technically worth like 1,000 gold apiece, but the time it takes to distribute them to the different servers and to sell them, I'd rather just delete them and not to worry. The irony is that I have sold some of these. Still people that go out there and buy any pet that they don't own. It was still technically a current expansion pet, so there is a market for it.
Is that your wallet? Or are you just glad to see me? Both, I hope.
Yo, Mr. Norton with a gifty. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm sure Drizzling Rose appreciates it too. Thank you, thank you. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, I'm in meticulous experiment. I'm looking at the wrong flipping thing. Amateur hour here. Right. Break it down. Right, they're doing stuff. Then we might need to go do some world quests. I kind of forgot the world quests reset today. Out the loop a bit, been playing MOP. What's Blizzard changed? No, it's it was in 11. It was the launch of 11.1 when it initially changed, and it's still a thing now. That the loot drops from old world content. Once you've been farming for about 5 minutes, the loot just stops. The farming community is kind of a touch annoyed by this because a lot of the old world farms that have historically been quite lucrative from time to time are now not, because you know you can't do it for any more than 5 minutes. Doesn't matter if you know your 60,000 gold per hour doesn't mean shit when you can only do it for 5 minutes at a go. So yeah, the farming community is a touch annoyed by it, but I'm somewhat convinced it's mostly a bot prevention thing, because they actually don't really want people hyperspawn farming for hours and hours and hours on end, especially because it's something that's so very, very close to bot activity. Look at multi-boxers from a few expansions ago, right? They got kind of caught in the crossfires. Multi-boxing, you know, a train of druids was a legitimate activity back then, but it was so close to botting that when Blizzard changes the rules, it affects legitimate players as well. Similar vibes with this this loot change. But we're all speculating here, because there's nothing has been announced by Blizzard, and they deny all knowledge of anything even changing. So it's kind of it's a player-driven theory at this point that anything's changed even in the first place. Let's head over to the news zone. Let's quickly bang some of these world quests out. I think that is a sensible plan. On top of things, I did some delves the other day as well. I was able to complete an 11, even using Season 2 gear. It was possible. I wouldn't say it was fun yet, though. The Bran having, like, no abilities is kind of odd. Bran feels even less useful. Even though he's level 80, he was even less useful than before. So delves were feasible, but I would say that we need a little bit more gear, probably closer to item level 700 before 11s feel comfortable, at least for if you want to be doing multiple of them. The reason I wanted to do some delves though is because it's it will... It basically gives me the understanding that we should be able to do bountiful 11s to get our gilded almost straight away. They'll be slow and laborious for the first couple of weeks, but it will give us the opportunity to get some upgrades on whatever we pull from a vault, I imagine. Goldson with 12 months! Thank you very much, my man. Thank you, thank you. 1 entire year of that. Whoa, other people in my private YouTube channel? Yeah, the chat is always much quieter over on Team YouTube. For some reason, it won't actually show me the YouTube chat properly. I can only see YouTube chat via my little bit of software that I use to manage both of them. I don't know why. Just I keep getting the YouTube monkey saying something's gone wrong. Not quite sure why. Right, okay, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 world quests apparently are now available out here. See if Zygor does a good job already of Zygor things. Let's see, shall we? You want some different tunes? We just go back to our standard EDM. Welcome in there, Ginny. Yeah, doing well, thank you. I'm excited like a small child at the moment, waiting for Christmas. Since I spent the day with a bunch of puppies yesterday. One comes home with me on Friday. So I'm, yeah. I'm all good. Yeah, doggo number 3. Contract is still up. Dark Moon Fair is finished, hasn't it? Finished yesterday. Should have done these yesterday. Whatever. I should probably do a sweep of the M0s. I've not done dungeons for flipping ages. I worry that it will be embarrassing me doing dungeons. But it might be worth doing some of them anyway. M0s you can take slow and steady. At least it's not with Oh! I wanted to talk about how many of you have stumbled across the fact that the new Tazavesh is going to have a hard mode. And if you do a deathless run, you get a myth piece of gear. Everybody in the group gets a myth piece of gear. The community seems to be very split on this. A lot of people are hyper concerned that it's going to be flipping grief central, because it's not even like if one person in your group dies, it bricks the entire group, which is that's a spicy meatball, because this is where people are somewhat concerned that it's hyper open to griefing. The pug community is going to be absolutely gross on that, but I also kind of think that it's not really an activity that is designed for pugging, right? This is it. It's designed for a group of mates that run dungeons every week. They do their M+. It's the same 5 of them in the group every week. They've done the dungeons 5 million times. They're in voice comms. You know, this is for those hyper-organised people that want a bit of a challenge, and they'll be rewarded with a myth piece of gear out of it. These players are also probably doing reasonably high M+ keys and getting access to myth gear anyway. So it's just a nice little perk on top. But of course, you put that carrot out there. You dangle that carrot. and you let people, you know, you tell people that there's a myth piece of gear, you know, on the table, and the pug community is going to be on it like a flash. And if one person does something stupid, it bricks the entire run for the entire week for the entire group, which is, woo, it's an interesting twist. We've had, wasn't Mechagon back in the day had a hard mode with a deathless run thing, but didn't that just give you a mount, if I remember right, if you completed it? It didn't give you, like, power progression, which is maybe why I think people are making a bigger deal of it. And maybe quite rightly. It's sure as shit not something I'm going to be on board with. But I can see why people who are gear focused and progression focused, yet maybe are not also simultaneously in a highly organized guild, or have a friend group that facilitates doing it in an organized fashion. Watched Dorky and Co practicing on the PTR yesterday for hours on each boss because they don't want to try it the first week. Well, this is also the thing, right? The dungeon is designed for you to have gear significantly higher than what we're probably going to have right now. This means deathless hard mode runs in the first couple of weeks are like, we're talking like limit and echo level, and kind of like in the first couple of weeks. And of course, it's in the first couple of weeks where that extra piece of myth gear makes all the difference. But you can bet your ass that even the big guilds out there will not be bringing anybody from outside into those runs. Flipping no chance. You know, it's almost as if they maybe should use that as a catch-up system maybe later on in the patch, right? Launching it on day 1 of season 3. Not that I'm the biggest fan of time gating, you know my opinions on time gating, but this almost feels like a good use of it, really. You want to wait until maybe it's actually within the realms of possible for average Joe to do. That's a nice little late in the season way to get, you know, some higher tier gear. If you've, you know, look at a player like me who will probably farm some dungeons and will probably end up with mostly hero track gear. Let me get my hero track gear for a while and then launch Tazavesh hard mode with a myth piece of gear available for a deathless run. But make it so that players have at least the chance to kind of get geared enough to do it properly in the first place, maybe. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I can see why people are concerned about it. Had a few guildies try the Dragonflight one a few times, but they gave up and they were mythic raiders with over 3k rating.
They need to be activated, so our dome is powered.
Extra boss in Nomagon is already too hard, or was back then. It should be individual, do the run, and if you don't die, you get the gear. Yeah. Do we just get Pirate Software's problems with that, though? You know. Good luck finding... Like, if that's the case, good luck finding a tank. Good luck finding somebody to tank that. Good luck finding somebody to heal that. The tanks and the healers that are capable of doing it will be doing it with their friends and their guildies. They won't be doing it in pugs. You'll have triple hunter DPS pugs just waiting for days to try and find people to fill those groups. If you're a pug tank, are you going to volunteer to go do your deathless run for the week with a healer that you don't know, with 3 DPS that you don't know? This is the thing. It's not something that in my eyes actually looks even remotely attractive to the pug community, but you know it will be. When people just leave then, when they died in the pugs. Well, yeah, exactly. They've also then got no, it's odd. It's odd. I think, I don't know. It's an interesting concept, and I think the problem with this is that somebody at Blizzard has gone, you know what would be really fun is if we put a hard mode in, and how do we... Oh, well, we'll just give people a extra bit... I think it was just one of those decisions that maybe wasn't thought through very well. Maybe they just didn't think it... They didn't think through the ramifications too much.
Excellent.
But, additionally... It could actually end up being an absolute nothing burger, because it might end up being scaled so much so that unless you're a top tier mythic raider, you're not doing it in the first few weeks anyway. And by the time that most people even get the opportunity to attempt it,
These ruins are filled with the fragments of our lost
it'll be more achievable.
The trust archaeologists can't safely exit.
I don't know.
You can retrieve the fragments.
Given a mount, toy, or cosmetics, but not gear. Yeah, exactly. I tend to think that especially giving a piece of gear that's potentially outside the like if you're not, you know, myth piece of gear. That's a piece of gear that could take you all the way to the end of the season, and that's available like day one of the season. It's no surprise people are gonna flock to that opportunity. And then massively complain when some dum-dum in their pug, like, bricks it for everybody. Pug community has serious toxicity issues at the best of times. Opening something up, that's a way to get a potential best-in-slot piece of gear day one of the season. From a dungeon that isn't even, like... you know, a timed thing with affixes or whatever. Am I also led to believe that even regular Tazavesh, excluding the hard mode Deathless, is going to be dishing out hero gear anyway? So I actually think that it could be something that we do, like, because you can slowly progress through that. Obviously, you only get so many bosses a week to do it. But it might be a nice little slower paced dungeon with reasonable gear, sort of maybe almost to get some of the Delver for Life guys into some dungeon stuff more so, which I actually think is quite cool. All the controversies around the Deathless one stuff, obviously.
From their original context invalidates their value, but I like to get things done.
Phase parasites infest the dunes. Would you test this experimental means of extermination?
The hell are we doing here? What the Christ is this? Okay, squish things. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that considered this the More 2.0 though. Now, I don't think it's people just parroting anything I've said. I mean, I'm a tiny content creator in the grand scheme of things. So it's clearly people have come to that conclusion by themselves. Because there seems to be lots of people that have made that link.
Before we roll out this new invention.
Shadow God harry us from all sides, even across plains.
I don't get why there's a spirit swapping system. It has no benefit but clicking a button. Yeah, I just think it's kind of... Yeah, this phase walking business I thought was pretty poor from the word go. it's all curse and no kiss as far as I'm concerned. Blizzard have taken away your ability to move properly and are selling it back to you as a benefit. And that has never gone down well. With all historical patches taken into consideration, Blizzard has never taken away our ability to either use mounts or fly and it be anything other than a shit show. So whoever put forward the idea of that you will go into a separate phase and you won't be able to mount should have been like fired on the spot. Right? Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Why would they even try it again? What's the upside of even trying it again? And the weird thing is it seems to be in a zone that is clearly designed with size in mind, with scale in mind. And so then when they take away your ability to get, you know, to mount up or to fly, it's odd. It's just weird. It's just weird. It's not fun. Doesn't give me anything besides fast travel that could be implemented without going into a spirit realm. It's not fun. Yeah, it's the opposite. It's anti-fun. They're anti-fun mechanics. Like, conceptually, if you're going to do something distinctly negative, nerfing your ability to move as effectively, then it has to come with significant upside. Now, I don't think 7 little tokens to spend on another loot vendor per week is enough of an upside.
We will hunt them wherever they dare to tread.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not the game dev here, but they could have even done something such as like if you do your world quests, doing world quests or doing the content within the phase increases the health and the damage of the mobs by 50%, and also the rewards that they offer by 50% or something. You know, that there could have been ways to where they could have made it advantageous to take the nerf on board to get something better out of it. But it just kind of doesn't feel like that at all. It's like, oh, you're just making me do world quests without being able to fly again. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but it feels like an odd choice to have implemented a system into a zone that has historically failed. It's not even as if, like I said, it would be different if this was the first time they tried something like this and it was an experiment. This isn't an experiment anymore. They have had multiple patches of experience where players have told them, don't fuck with our ability to get places. That level of feedback was what was the driving force behind dragon riding in the first place. A more interactive, more interesting way to travel. It's like, it's just odd. It's weird.
Let us exchange words.
And simultaneously, it makes the entire zone feel even more sparse. I'm going to be honest, this feels like I have seen the least amount of people in patch week, I think, for many expansions. Many expansions. And I don't think it's because everybody's off playing MOP. I just genuinely think there is not a lot of people that this patch is, well, it's twofold. One, I don't think this patch has brought a huge amount of people back to the game. And secondly, their zone design is such that you naturally see less and less people. I mean, I have barely come across another player the entire week, it feels. The zone's too big, in my opinion, which is all well and good from a visual point of view, but it makes it feel a lot less lived in. There just isn't much going on. Yeah, I do very much agree. It's clearly a zone that was built with scale in mind, but I don't think they really grabbed scale and went with it. Is this a phase diving one? I don't think it is.
A new division of Shadow Guard amasses in Shadow Point.
But then again, they've given us the zone without actually giving us half the zone as well, haven't they? Like, the Ecodome stuff is not super thrilling, but it's a bonus quest line every week for you to work through, and a bit of reason for the zone being the way that it is. Maybe the reason the zone feels a little bit naked is because they haven't actually given us half of the zone stuff yet. Yeah, it is kind of ironic that it's almost the exact polar opposite to the Undermine. A zone that I also think was too small, and then they packed so much into it with the ability to get places so goddamn fast, it made the zone feel even smaller. Weirdly, you need the super speedy, fun method of getting from A to B in this zone because it is significantly bigger. I don't know. It feels like I'm unfortunately making it sound like we can never be pleased, but there is a happy medium here somewhere. A lot of raiders have come back for this patch. The raid is really good. Well, if that's the case, they're standing in the capital city raid logging. Because I can probably count on one hand the amount of people I've seen out questing in the zone this week. Even day one didn't feel like that much of a zug-zug. We were able to complete the campaign and chip away at most of the side quests in the zone, and I felt like I saw basically nobody. And that was on day one of the launch. It was very quiet generally.
Well done. We must be swift to counter any move the Shadow Guard makes.
What have we got? Two more quests out here? Is there no... I haven't seen any pet quests out here actually either. I haven't seen any pet world quests. Nor is there any... Yeah. Yeah, no pet quests. Is there actually any pets out here that you can obtain at all? Full stop? I hadn't even thought about that. There's no battle pets to actually even catch. No pets in this patch. Well, maybe that's because we get the pets via the Ecodome. There's 12 pets obtainable via the Ecodome. Maybe that's in exchange of the fact that there's no pets in the actual zone. Weird. Yeah, it's an odd patch. I'm not going to lie, it absolutely stinks of C-Team patch. A team is working on Midnight, B team is working on housing, C team was responsible for the final patch of the expansion. When they know that it matters the least, because the least amount of people are really that bothered. Obviously, the raid team always does the raid team thing, but it feels like it feels like real C grade content from Blizz this patch so far. And I don't know if I'm just being overly negative there or not, but it certainly doesn't feel like their best work.
Strike at their chain of command. Take out
Seems like a minimum viable product to launch a patch and to do a refresh on a season. But it's not inspiring game design yet, is it? It might get better. Who knows? It might get better when the season launches, but it's weird. I come out of phase to fly back to a phase portal to go back into a phase to then quick travel. It's kind of like it's just an odd gameplay loop to use these things. The Ecodome stuff next week should add some flavour to the zone, though, for sure. I still think it was a poor move to lock that off until week 2. Because first impressions matter, right? First impressions matter a lot. And unfortunately, once again, there's a chance that the first impression of this zone for many people will be, nah, not bothered. And they won't make it to week 2. People are fickle. Especially with a BF6 flipping beta launching the same week. I mean, I put 20 hours into BF6 over the last 4 days or something. Hella fun. What am I meant to be catching over here? I'm not even sure. Rescue the escaped creatures. Recover escaped creatures. Is it these things? No. These things? You need to use the special button to throw the cages on top of them. They have a glow on them. Oh, I've done the grubs one. Luckily, I'm in a phase with nobody, so like I mentioned earlier, it feels like there's a fat load of nobody in the zone at all. Oh, these fellas, look. There's one. Most world quests are usually just a side quest reused, meaning you've kind of almost meant to have done it and be taught how to do it once the first time. I don't remember this being a side quest. Unless I zug-zugged it without paying too much attention. There's one, look. Pew pew you. Catch the fox. Sold banana beef pudding for 7 gold each. Fair play. Get it going. I think Blizz dug their own grave with the 8-week patch cycle. Obviously, they can't fulfill their promise. That's where they're time getting the hell out of things, and things are not ready. Look at this zone, it's a buggy mess. Conceptually, the 8-week patch cycle is the right direction. But that you're not wrong, they are having clear and obvious issues with maintaining it. Let's not forget that we are now 2 expansions deep, basically, to this concept. They kicked that mindset off with Dragonflight launch. And, oh, he's not even multi-tap. Oh, for fuck's sake. They kicked that concept off with Dragonflight. And we're now within touching distance of the end of the War Within. And we are still seeing significant teething issues with this goal of an 8-week content cycle. I gave them the credit, you know, I gave them sort of the benefit of the doubt at the beginning, sort of, you know, from the point of understanding that if you're going to implement something like this, from where they came from, which was like very sporadic, kind of, it could be, you know, arguably it's ready when it's ready kind of content. That it meant it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months for a patch. You never really knew where you stood, which was kind of annoying. I gave them the benefit of the doubt that moving to a solid 8-week cadence would take some time to figure shit out. I mean, at the end of the day, how much time do you give a company that you're paying monthly for their product, you know? I mean, after 3 years, you should have figured shit out, right? This is kind of this is the way I'm starting to look at it. After 3 years, you've either got it sorted. You've either got it sorted, you've got it working, or you ditch it because it's not working and you can't figure it out. And there's this concept within the WoW community so often of like, oh, it'll be better next expansion. Oh, this is the, you know, this is their off expansion. The next one will be the good one. There's always this kind of like, oh, the next one will be the good one. The next one will be the good one. But now this 8-week patch thing, I don't think I totally agree with you that it's like, that it's kind of, you know, digging their own grave. But what I would say is that they're not able to, they either don't have the resources or they're,
Thank you for recovering them.
or so something is not working with it. They can't seem to get the equation quite right. They're rushing for a minimum viable product. Yeah, if you're rushing to get the basics out, you're no longer growing. You're just chasing your tail, aren't you? I think they should like ease up on the 8-week thing. And I think they should still keep the, you know, the general 12-month timeline in place. But I do think they need to polish a lot more than they have been. World quests are done, though. World quests are done. We are now... Oh my god, we're within touching distance and we're now 9. That's annoyingly close to leave it there, isn't it? It's annoyingly close to leave it there. What does Renown 9 do? Speak to some dude in Tazavesh to help him recover some stolen merchandise. And some Valor Stones. Few world quests. Few world quests will get that done, won't it? Which we kind of need to do anyway. Rank 9 starts the Mount quest chain. Oh, okay. Well, that sounds quite interesting. We might chase after that then. Do a quick world quest tour. He says, famously. Go. You lot, why have you stopped? Did not say you could stop. There was no pre-arranged stopping. Okay, running low on Gloom Chitin. That's understandable. Got nothing to smush? Oh, this dude's got nothing to smush. You may have noticed over the last few days, I'm not really paying all that much attention to like profits with thaumaturgy. I'm kind of half expecting the markets to rise the price of things generally across the board. Meaning that by the time I've actually processed through all of these materials, the likelihood is that the resulting materials will be closer towards their peak price. But I am also simultaneously noticing that the profit in just the leather itself that I bought hasn't really risen much either, so still not totally convinced we're making much go on by doing this right now. But these 4 characters, they spent 2 million gold on leather each. So what I am kind of trying to do is localize their efforts to see if by the end of it we end up with more than 2 million gold, which we should. And because it's kind of in the background, passive activity, if we can make a token's worth of profit off it, it pays for the account for the month while we were busy playing the game on the main account, which is a win in my books. But like I said, I'm not doing it too scientifically. I'm kind of going by vibes. Just slowly working through it. I need to decide if I am going to do a second tier of processing on these mats. This Akirite and the Iron Claw that we're generating from this could obviously then be prospected as well. But the question is am I adding extra value by doing the prospecting, or would I just be better off selling the Akirite and the Iron Claw when it spikes in price, like it quite literally just has? The irony is that right now would be a pretty good time to dump the ore, I think. But I haven't sold myself on what the right decision is with this. And what am I going to do with all of the flipping herbs? Herbs are usually pretty safe. What's the price of glittering glass in the EU? Good question. Why is it not on my list? Glittering glass, 67 gold right now. So yeah, this is significantly up on what it has been recently, like by quite some margin actually. A a second tier level of processing is not a bad idea, I don't think. Season 2 reminder. Oh, okay. So, like, what we've got here is... Wait, where'd it go? Come back. So, but yeah, season 2, we saw a spike before the week before the patch actually launched, a spike in price. Then we saw quite a dip in price as everybody tries to dump everything that's stockpiled, which I actually don't foresee being a thing this season. Like I said, this is going off vibes, not going off any sort of maths here, but it feels like the pre-launch week and the patch launch week have been sort of normalized. It's going to be interesting to see what happened when the raid launches on Wednesday, whether everything tanks and then it slowly rises over the next couple of weeks. Being less of a dip this time, yeah, can confirm stat-wise. Well, there we go then, yeah. Yeah, this here, this is what we were last patch, we were experiencing like a slight decline in the value of everything from the week going into the patch. I don't think we're seeing this decline, right? In fact, we're actually seeing things take an uptick by the looks of things. Enchanting mats, ore has just gone up a little bit. Herbs seem to be about rock steady, but this seems a lot flatter. Now that leads me to wonder what's going to happen next week with the raid launch. But I still think this concept is going to happen. I still find it very hard to believe that there won't be this spike in a week or two's time. And for reference, there is a reason why this happens. The reason this happens, and I'm convinced of this, is that this period here, the week before the patch and the week of the patch, people have time on their hands. They're probably playing the game, but they have time on their hands. This means whatever the farm is, whatever the new thing is, they go do that thing, right? Yet the demand hasn't kicked in. The demand doesn't kick in until people get new gear or the chance to go get new gear. So until the season begins, nobody wants anything yet. So we're in this weird sort of waiting room-esque scenario where people have both got time on their hands to go do some farming or do some crafting or do something. People have got time on their hands and nobody really wants anything. These are two factors that sort of cause this slight crushing of the price of stuff. But the season launches properly and then everybody has no time on their hands at all. You then have a brand new season of Delves to go and do. You have a brand new season of Mythic Plus to do. You have a brand new raid to go and demolish. This means that people's time to mill around and just kind of keep themselves occupied, do some farming, do some gathering, play with their professions or whatever, that time just doesn't exist anymore. Simultaneously, the demand skyrockets for everything, which is why the prices then start to quickly go up much after that period. Because nobody is acquiring new stuff and everybody is consuming the stuff that exists. Plus, on top of that, goblins will do goblin things like reset prices at the same time. People panic sell what they've stockpiled before the real demand actually kicks in. I think that's the main factor at the moment. A lot of the volumes are high, but the demand will double in 2 weeks. Yeah, the demand will go through the absolute roof in a couple of weeks' time. But I also think this spike isn't going to be as spiky, and I also think it will decline even faster. There's obviously lots of weeks after this graph that we don't see here, but I tend to think that the dip will be even more dramatic because we're going towards the end of an expansion, and so there'll be people that when they feel that they are done instead of just leaving everything in their bags, instead of leaving everything in their gills, instead of just sitting on everything and be like, oh, well, I'll use most of that next season, a lot of people just take everything and they dump everything on the auction house, and then they just basically close the game and come back at the next expansion, which is what causes this crashing of materials really fast in the final season. So the spike won't be as high and the crash will be more aggressive. But it still means that now is not real, even though things look 10, 20%, 30% more profitable than what they were a couple of weeks back. That's probably true, but it's still not really the time to sell unless you absolutely need to. Hence why I'm doing a lot of the legwork, the processing of stuff, getting things kind of ready. And in a week or two's time, we can just liquidate everything. Is the plan. That's the strategy I'm going with anyway. Works, it works. If it doesn't, then it's fun. If it works, it works. I've still got plenty of materials to process through, so... storage of all of this might actually become a bit of a problem. I might be tempted to throw some of this on the auction house, just get it out of the way. Right, let's get some of these world quests out of the way then. I'm intrigued to get. I can't leave it this close to being renowned 9.
Your frustration, Gaora, but do not rush to conclusions.
Right, let me go grab a drink. Accept rock collector. Oh, this is a pet one. Oh, please tell me I have pet access. Ooh, knowledge point.
What path brought
Oh no, wait, hang on. We need to get our team in order, don't we? Pet journal, load.
a new experience?
So yeah, I went with a slightly different approach to season 3 than I did in season 2. Season 2, I spent like 8 to 10 mil on just straight mats and just sat on them. Not really doing anything with them, just hoping and praying that I bought the right materials that would then eventually go up. And it kind of worked alright. I turned that 8 to 10 mil into 10 to 12 mil. For season 3, I was kind of quite late to the party with buying materials. I didn't really do much research into what I wanted to buy. So instead, I was like, right, well, I did set up 4 thaumaturgy characters and 4 prospecting characters, so maybe we look at using those. And I just bought 2 mil of leather on each account in the hope that we can use the Mattergy in prospecting to spin it into similar, if not more, profits. Arguably, it should be more profitable doing this way because you're actually processing mats as well. There should be added value in the processing, in theory. But the same scenario applies if everybody's decided to do the same thing. It won't be profitable for anybody. I think it's relatively safe. I think it's only 5 or 6 world quests I need to hit Renown 9 now. Which might be where I'm happy for the week. I don't think we need to go any higher. Getting to Renown 10 would kind of be fun in a way, because Renown 10 is you know, it's halfway. It's halfway done. Halfway done in the first week. Means in theory there's the possibility to hit 20 next week. Probably not, because there won't be there won't be, in fact, yeah, there's not going to be hardly. Do we reckon Renown 20 is a 3-week job? It probably is a 3-week job, isn't it? 3 weeks, because you're not going to have anywhere near the same amount of first time stuff. I'm pushing to 11, kind of pointless, but whatever. Yeah, I know a few people have looked at doing that. If you have a poppy next week, there's no way you'll be getting 10 renown on top. Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. My time might be a little bit more. I'll have to put some mirrors up here, won't I, so I can see behind me. So I'm going to have to rely on you guys to tell me when shit's going wrong. I don't know what you get out the bigger boxes. Some early indications is a big fat, not a lot, but we'll see. Get Poppy Cam so we can see it all. Yeah, I have a second webcam I can hook up so that we can have Poppy Cam. It depends where the puppy's going to be, though. You know, the room's quite big. Can't put 12 cameras up everywhere.
Come fly with us.
Although, puppies do historically do a lot of sleeping. So, hopefully, whilst the puppy is sleeping, I can stream. And then when the puppy wakes up, we just have to play with the puppy. And their batteries tend to run out quite quickly anyway. They go back to sleep again. Oh, tree! Fuck.
Nicely done. You and your Drake are exceptional.
A little confinement won't hurt, though. Do you have some sort of removable baby fence thing? We used to, but it's been 8 years since I've last had a puppy. We didn't. We threw it away. When we moved house, when we moved in to this place, we were like, yeah, we're like, nah, we don't need that anymore. You're not wrong, though. Being able to, like, crate it while it goes to sleep is kind of good practice for them as well. So, I might get some in. Compost grates work well. Yeah, that's true. It's only gonna, it's only for a few weeks until it, gets a bit bigger. Because it'll be 8 weeks old when we get it, so. There's a bunch of cosmetic weapon treasures across Koresh. I was not able to find any of those. I wonder if those are Renown 11 bigger treasures, or I'm just extremely unlucky. Well, there's a lot of treasures that can't be collected until you have a certain cloak level. I think it's cloak rank 4 you need to be able to get a bunch of them. Which might be some of the stuff you're talking about. Or you could be right that the bigger treasures might then have the cosmetics in them. Or it's Ecodome stuff that hasn't launched yet. So I think there's a few options. I've been using Handy Notes, and Handy Notes has most of the treasure locations, I believe, and you can still see there's shitloads of them I haven't gone and got. A few of them were bugged on the first few days as well, and you could see them but not pick them up and stuff, so I was like, right, well, we'll come back to that another day. No stress to try and get stuff if it's kind of like busted.
Morning rise. Use explosives to collapse their tunnels.
Tunnel.
Hopefully
tunnels.
that will
Boom.
finally deter them. But if I have learned anything, it's that kobolds always come back.
You're still making gold with thaumaturgy? Wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't.
Silt from these clashing elementals are packed with healing properties.
Although, like I did say a little while ago, I simply bought 2 million gold of materials on each toon going into the patch, and I'm slowly processing through it. There's not much maths gone into it as of yet, other than past patch knowledge being that mats tend to go up a week or two after the raid launches. So in theory, when we finally sell it all in a couple of weeks, even if leather prices aren't particularly higher, the hope is that then what we get to sell is more profitable. Yeah, there's not a huge amount of science going into it. Definitely much quicker to just kill these things than it is to do the loot piles, I think. Though there isn't that many of them, maybe we just do both.
Well executed. Hermit
Hey, we're now 9, there we go. Stealing what is ours quest available. Some bonus valor stones. Do you expect radical changes to how the professions work in the next expansion? Radical, no. Tweaks, yes. I really don't think they're going to change the formula all that much. But I do think some of the tweaks we will see will be tweaks that, well, okay, I'm going to be slightly hopeful here. Let's say if there was like 3 major changes I would like to see. 3 major changes I would like to see. 1, I would like the concentration cap increasing. to at least 2,000 feels like a good number to me. At least that's the feedback I've given Blizzard anyway. I think concentration does its job really well, but I think 2,000 will basically allow you to store a week's worth of it at any given point. Rather than like 1,000 right now is kind of like 1,000 is like 4 days worth, so it's kind of hard to make it routine to like use it. Allowing you to stack like 2,000 of it, which is a little bit more than a total week's worth of it, kind of feels like it will make the system just more user friendly. But I think concentration kind of does its thing. I think the dog's just knocked over one of the speakers. What did you do, Nipsis? What did you do? What did you do? Dog thinks concentration 1,000 is enough. Clearly, yeah. Chili bears. It's alright. Don't know what she did. I have to check the VOD footage, although you can't actually see it on the... You probably didn't see it on the stream, just heard a kerfuffle. I think she rolled out of the bed. And then had a heart attack. Yeah, I think concentration could do with going up a little bit. I think they need to make the work order system less client driven, is the best way I can describe it. In other words, if you are not somebody that's into crafting, you should not need to know half as much as you need to know about crafting. To make the work order system more manageable, I think they could definitely go a long way to basically make the user friendliness of it stronger. Maybe integrate it more so into the auction house for purchasing of materials, if they are going to go the route of making people provide all of the materials still. I personally would love to see it so that players don't provide any materials for an order. They just state that they want something made and that this is how much they're willing to pay for it. I've kind of had that opinion since day one of work orders, and I've mentioned it and put it forward as an idea a few times, and it usually gets quite some pushback. Players are, for some reason, very much of the... I don't know. It tends to feel to me that the players that are very defensive about providing their own materials in orders are defensive because they don't want to feel as if they're being scammed by goblins. Yet they have, you know, they are gaining some sort of sense of control over the situation when they provide the materials. But the issue then of that becomes that it's of very, very little value to the crafters to actually put in much of an effort to do it. And it weirdly means that a lot of people who put in orders probably overspend on the mats. Like, there's no denying that the kind of the economy around quality 3 materials, especially the intermediate materials, is driven by the fact that they get bought up in tiny little quantities all day long by people going and filling orders. So look how many orders you see come through where people just provide all quality 3 mats regardless, whether it's actually needed to craft that item or not. So that sense of security that they're not getting scammed by goblins doing, you know, not overpaying goblins. I don't know. I'm not sure where the feeling really comes from, but there's always a big pushback whenever I've suggested that players maybe don't need to provide materials. They just put a gold value. and let the market dictate what that gold value is. If you provide enough gold to cover the materials and the crafter can make a bit, a small profit from doing so, they'll do it. If you don't provide even enough gold to cover the cost of materials, then crafters won't do it. And the order will sit there. And the orders that just sit there will be, the guide to everybody else as to maybe how much they need to offer as a price for it. Hey, if I was really gonna go, out on a limb, maybe, just maybe, here's a crazy idea, actually implement both buy orders and sell orders. Maybe structure it so that crafters can say, I can make this and I will make it for 10,000 gold. That is them using all of their materials, and that them is the crafting a thing. That means somebody comes along, and if they want that thing, they can press a button, and hey presto, that thing gets made. If they properly integrated both buy orders and sell orders, the system would work significantly smoother in my you just recreated the auction house. But it's with the added flexibility of the order system, Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what missives the person wants on the piece of crafting. To the crafter, at least, anyway. To the person crafting, it really doesn't matter what missive you provide, what flipping rest you provide. It's as simple as saying that, look, and maybe you can only put in sell orders once you are max rank or something of that crafted item. So once you can guarantee max, once you can guarantee quality 5, you can put in a sell order for that item, and anybody can come down and come along and say, yeah, I'll have one of those, please. But the buyer can get that instant deal, and they can simultaneously use the missive that works well for them. It does still offer the flexibility that the work order system is meant to offer. Whereas the auction house is you are physically taking a product and you are selling a pre-created product, which the reason why that doesn't really work in today's landscape is because there could be 50 different variations of a single piece of gear when you take into consideration the crest used on it, the missives used on it, whether it's got an embellishment, which embellishment, The actual variations are probably in the 3 digits for most top tier pieces of gear, which is why the auction house at its, in its old school way doesn't really work. Is what, in theory at least, why the work order system exists, so that you can get a piece of gear custom made. And that's what I would like to see. I would like them to see them actually use the strengths of the system that they've designed, rather than these arbitrary sort of arbitrary rules about the system that make it more engaging to more players, but not actually a better system. Adding unnecessary steps to the process to make it more engaging, in my opinion, is game design for the sake of game design for the sake of engagement, not game design for the sake of good game design. It should be seen as a downside that people have to do 10 things to get something done, when there is an option to make it happen doing only 5 things. No? But unfortunately, that change to work orders would be, in my opinion, maybe too close to the radical changes I don't think we're going to see. Which basically leads me to believe that we might get a slight tweak to the amount of concentration, or they might not even touch it at all. We might possibly get quality on public orders is a subtle change that they might consider doing, because the reality is these days is it's kind of, like I've given feedback to Blizzard directly, basically saying that public order system feels like a scam these days. With how quick and easy it is to get a personal order done, you literally have to say in trade chat that you want something crafted, and 10 people are like, yeah, I can craft that for you. And because of add-ons like Craft Scan, it has fundamentally neutralized any value that public orders have. And I feel bad for people that use public orders and then get like quality 3 items back. It's a communication nightmare, and the commission is generally too low for anybody to bother dealing with it. Wait, hang on, what was it? What did you say first? The problem at the moment is that the customer doesn't know what the crafter needs to craft an item. There's no visibility of your skill level, etc. Crafters without add-ons can't tell what items are needed to hit certain thresholds either. Then you have to communicate what is needed to craft, and that it's variable depending on what the customer is actually willing to provide, e.g. if it has embellishments, missives, etc. It's a communication nightmare, and the commission is generally too low for anybody to bother dealing with it. What a crafter wants to explain the crafting system to somebody who then wants... Yeah, so, I mean, it... when you break that entire chain of problems down, you get to a point where it all stems from the fact that the person looking at buying a piece of gear has to do half of the flipping job for the crafter. Whereas if the only thing that was required was them to say, this is what I want and this is how I want it made, because that's the thing the buyer does know. The buyer knows if they want a missive haste, like a haste missive or a crit missive, right? The buyer knows exactly what variation of the piece of gear they want. They should tell the crafter exactly what it is they want, and then the crafter should be able to tell them, well, it's going to cost this much. Boom. The whole providing of materials is what I think leads to more confusion than anything else. And so it ends up being that the path of least resistance for both parties is that people don't look at crafting things for other people until they are min-maxed in it. And so from a crafter's perspective, it makes this necessity to be min-maxed. No crafter out there is making anything at quality 3 or 4 for people. Like, a personal order, it's either quality 5 or it doesn't happen, right? Quality 5 or it doesn't happen. And then from the buyer's side, the path of least resistance is I just provide you all quality 3 stuff regardless of whether you need it or not. That makes as little friction from both sides. You know, I'll provide the best quality materials regardless. I won't even pretend I can craft something until I'm min-maxed on it. And so it just, you know, players have had to just try and figure out how to make the system smoother, which is totally unnecessary. It doesn't need to be that way. Like, all of this friction doesn't need to exist. And I think if they get rid of a lot of that friction, then the whole system feels much better. Players who enjoy tinkering with professions can enjoy tinkering with professions. Crafters can figure out between themselves that, okay, I can only make these at quality 4, but I use all quality 2 materials, and I can actually make quality 4 really cheaply. I can accept quality 4 orders for like 2,000 gold, whereas it's going to cost me 10,000 gold to make one at quality 3 using all quality 3 mats. You know, and then, you know, then this sort of scenario starts turning up of that, well, somebody sees the all outstanding orders for quality 5, and they're all 10,000 gold a piece, but they see quality 4 orders for only 3,000 gold a piece, and some people will cheap out. Some people will be like, you know what, quality 4 is fine, and I'll pay 3,000 gold for this, instead of 10,000 gold for this. Imagine explaining it all to a new player. They'd be in a coma before you've even finished speaking. Yeah, this is it. It's boggling to my mind that players who choose not to play with professions still need to know as much as somebody that does play with professions. And it doesn't make any sense, because, like, what if you're looking for somebody to craft something for you, it's because you haven't bothered or haven't felt the need or the desire or the want to level that profession up yourself. It's a convenient, you know, it's the market of convenience. It's why the auction house works in the first place. Everybody has the ability to have a bunch, especially in retail now, where alts are like, nobody has less than like 3 or 4 alts these days. Most people could have one of every profession if they really wanted to, quite easily. But most people don't do that, and that's why the auction house works so well. People want to go to the auction house and just buy something. If they don't want to deal with professions, they don't want to deal with the professions. It's crazy. In my guild, I'm the designated crafter. 90% of my guild mates won't touch the professions with a 5-meter stick. Yeah, and because they don't want to, like, then when they have to engage with it, the process of getting a piece of gear crafted means they have to go to a certain NPC, search for the thing that they want crafting, which is probably just on a Wowhead BIS list. Wowhead has told them that they need to get this piece of crafted gear. They've already smoothed the process, by the way, of making enchanted crests just come from a vendor rather than having to first go to an enchanter. So much unnecessary friction. Get rid of that friction and the system will work so much better. So much better. Once buyers understand the crafting system, they'll realise it's better to craft the item themselves. Most of them don't, though. Most of them just see the friction that is put in place to get a piece of gear crafted, and they hate the friction, even doing it once to get a piece of gear crafted themselves. The thought of then leveling up the professions to do that repeatedly for other people makes them feel ill. This I think is the problem, and then that leads most of the player base to detest the way the profession system is. It's a problem that doesn't need to be a problem, but is a problem only because Blizzard have put in these arbitrary, unnecessary points of friction into the system to drive engagement. And I've been saying this since day one of the work order system. And much like many other things in the game, right? If they change something about battlegrounds, or they change something about Mythic Plus affixes, or they change some mechanic in a raid, it really only affects the people that are actually already interested in doing that content in the first place. When they fuck about with the profession system like they have with work orders, and simultaneously make it, the professions have to be engaged with by nearly everybody. Doesn't matter what your end game activity of choice is, crafted gear plays a part. And because it plays a part, everybody has to know at least the fundamentals of the profession system. And hence why most people then don't, because most people don't like it at its core. I trained my guildies in Dragonflight what they need for crafting, and in the War Within they all started crafting instead of going to me with all of their orders. I've done maybe 2 in the War Within. Put yourself out of a job. Put yourself out of a job. Congratulations. Is there anything we can spend knowledge points on once everything is skilled? I have a lot of patron orders still offering knowledge points, but I'm at max. No, your focus then isn't on the knowledge points. You'll gain 5 artisan security for learning the knowledge point in the first place. That artisan security can then be cashed in 600 at a time for like a little goodie bag of materials. So you switch from no longer needing the knowledge points, but the knowledge points are a source of artisan security instead. I mean, like they always were, but so your focus. It's funny how your focus throughout the patch changed, throughout the expansions changed. We went from artisan security being like the be all and end all, it was the limiting factor. Then once you'd got enough of it to get your tools in place, then your need for artisan security drops off a ledge completely. And it switches back to knowledge points until you cap out, and then eventually you don't need the knowledge points, but you'll take the artisan security to convert it into material bags. Real weird. Real flip-flop. And for some of these, discussion points, this is why I really hope I can get access to the alpha this time, because it really feels like one of the only times where Blizzard is actually kind of listening. Betas and PTRs are just marketing fluff for the most part. An opportunity for players to like get a bit of a head start and figure shit out before it goes live and it's, permanent. But alpha time is the time where I feel that there is a kind of most open. They are, doesn't necessarily mean any feedback given will be taken on board, but at least it hopefully wouldn't fall completely on deaf ears.
Does this turn you on?
Federico, thank you for joining as a member on YouTube. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Where in the world is this quest? How do I get in here? Hello?
The Ascended failed to plan for
I don't remember this world quest at all.
Acquire more grubs from
Purple
the
worms with
worms,
teeth
and I
in the
shall see you
caves? What the hell? I was like, what is that sound? My guess is they just don't have the time to create an alternative system or correct it. This is why I'm not really expecting anything dramatic, profession-wise, going into Midnight. I think that, Dragonflight implemented the system. The War Within kind of rounded it off a little bit more. Meaning that going into Midnight, I don't really suspect much of anything particularly to change. Like I said, a few tweaks here and there, maybe, but other than that, no, I'm not expecting massive changes. This is why I think, slapping quality on public orders is a change that is, relatively simple to implement. Upping the cap of concentration is feasible. But I don't think we're going to see a huge overhaul to removal of spec trees or removal of, resourcefulness or multi-craft or anything like this. I think it's going to be business as usual, I kind of believe, with just a few tweaks. Can't believe I did that shuffle on so many characters. What, for the Artisan Security at the beginning? Yeah. You and me both. I did a full profession shuffle on 8 different characters in the first 2 weeks of the patch. I think. Probably more than that, to be honest. All I remember is that it cost me 25 million gold to do it. It was definitely an interesting first couple of weeks to the expansion, though. Maybe they change archaeology in combination with housing? Now there's a theory. Yeah, this is one thing about decor, that it's very, very unlikely to have quality attached to it. I would see them more inclined to do, because when you think about it, decor doesn't suit quality, does it really? And because it's mostly going to be, or we are led to believe at least, it's mostly going to be legacy profession content that is going to be crafting the decor stuff, then, you know, that's eras of the game where quality didn't exist in the first place. I don't think we want to see quality 1, 2, and 3 flipping dining room chairs. Quality 1 with scuff marks on it, quality 2 with a shit stain on it, and quality 3 made of gold. I don't think anybody wants that.
Silly little grubs, trying to nub before their razors have grown in.
How do we get out of here? Cave, technically, isn't it? Quality equals colors. Maybe low world mats and the more expensive. Oh, I don't know. I don't like. I don't object to the quality system at all. I know some people don't like it, but I quite like the quality system. I think it adds a level to the professions that is kind of quite fun. It does make it feel as if there's more going on with them without there actually being more stuff. But decor is one of those things I really don't think quality suits. I think it's, I don't think it makes sense, really. Wow, these are like single-digit percentages per kill. We need something better than this. Oh, yeah, okay. This is the one you fly through the things with the buff, isn't it? %. Boom. I think they should do away with rank quality weapons and armor. Material quality works as it allows crafters to top up with lower quality mats and with concentration. Does... Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't totally disagree with that. Who wants a rank 3 quality piece of... Yeah. The only weird outlier for that is PvP gear. Tends to not care about quality so much because it scales in PvP anyway. I've had a lot of orders come through for PvP stuff where players like deliberately provide quality 1 mats and absolutely don't care what quality they get. They just need the thing because it scales when they enter PvP anyway. But yeah, for regular weapons and armor, it's another one of those things that I think it just adds. It's something that a crafter should have to care about, but the end buyer of the piece of gear shouldn't have to. And so yeah, maybe removing quality from like armor and weapons, just making everything like, because it would, the outcome is exactly the same. You as a crafter either can or cannot make that thing. Let's assume they got rid of quality 1 through till 4, and so we just had, like, everything that came going forward was just the equivalent of quality 5. It would either require you You would just have to use concentration to make it a quality 5. They could change the bandings so that any crafter pretty much would be able to make that thing, but with a varying level of concentration requirements, which you could use less concentration by using higher quality materials. They could ease up on the skill requirements a little bit. We get 100, the 100 plus 40 thing still feels fine to me. 100 in your profession and 40 from your profession tools is what I'm referring to here. That's the sort of base requirements to be able to craft something. And at that point, you should be able to craft something with all quality 3 mats using 0 concentration, or lower quality mats and concentration, and the outcome is just the same either way. Make it so you have to maybe use one of those additional mats and all top quality mats. Otherwise you can use lower quality, but you still need concentration. Well, yeah, there's the finishing reagents, isn't there, that gives you the bonus skill points that you get from your patron orders, all the way up to like 40 skill points for the epic one. Those in conjunction with concentration and in conjunction with 3 different qualities of materials could easily make it so that weapons and armor really don't need to have quality. The outcome is the same. It's just the skill of the crafter that goes into it. A well-skilled crafter needs no concentration and no finishing reagents to make something. The less skilled you are, the more concentration you're going to need, the higher tier finishing reagents you might need. And you absolutely can't get away with using lower quality materials even. To give Blizzard some undue credit, maybe they have looked into this and what it would do to the economy, and it just wouldn't look as good as we currently have. I don't know. No, I'm willing to give Blizzard credit where credit's due. It's not due in that regard. Most of the way the profession system has been structured in the last 2 expansions is built for maximum engagement. Maximum engagement via maximum friction. It's not a sign of a system that... It was well designed and then undone to make as many people have to utilize it as possible. And the reason I say this is because in Dragonflight, when we first saw it, there was some significant things added to the work order system, which shows that they had a better system in design. Things like that little icon when you go to the work orders that would show you outstanding orders and how much gold as a commission is being shown. That is an absolute screaming telltale example of the fact that they designed it in mind that there would be outstanding orders and that you'd compete on commission prices to get yours crafted first. That system, which is more in line with how I think the system should be, only works when people don't provide all the materials. How much to wait? Wait, hang on. How much to wait to sell my 10k tempered potions and 2k chaos flasks? You can never answer questions like that. Sell them when you want to sell them. The longer you wait, the greater the chance is of that you won't make a profit on them. At any point when you can sell something for profit, it's technically the right time to sell it. You can wait longer and hope for more profit, but you run the risk of then the market going in the opposite direction. I can't really give you much guidance there other than to say that, you know, the raid isn't out yet. It's probably not the best time to be selling that stuff just yet. This was the flask behavior in Season 2, so if it acts similarly a couple of weeks after the raid release would be a good time. Yeah, we were talking earlier about how when the season launches, When Mythic Plus is open, when the raid is open, when the new Delve season is started, people go off and do that stuff. They go out and they play the game, and because they're busy playing the game, they're hoping and they're expecting that everybody else is going to supply all of the shit for them. That is what usually causes a bit of a drought on some things, and why prices tend to be at their highest a couple of weeks into the season. Because enough time has passed for enough people to buy people end up then buying more than their supply into the economy. The majority of the players become a leech on the available resources in the economy, with not enough people restocking and resupplying. Remember Dragonflight? You'd open the public orders and it was either just empty or a massive list of 0 commission orders with no mats. Yeah, I mean that wasn't great, was it? That wasn't great, but that's the scenario that they let Blizzard do that. Blizzard let players do that. This is why the public order system's been a bit scuffed for a while now. They fixed that with patron orders. They fixed it with patron orders, but conceptually, if you provide no materials and you provide no commission, then it is only right that that order does not get filled. It's annoying seeing it, but if you get annoyed by seeing it, at least you're not being suckered by it at the same time. Difficult. You can't hold everybody's hands forever. You get suckered. If you got suckered by those orders way back in the day, that there is an emphasis of that was on you. But there was also the flip side back then of that zero mat, 0 commission orders would get fulfilled, and that was because people would get first-time crafts off them. People were getting a knowledge point by doing it. Maybe the materials weren't really that expensive. People also got skill points towards their professions. Let's not forget, in Dragonflight, it was basically impossible for many professions to actually cap them to 100 without doing 10, 15 orders. So some people would do any order regardless, just because they wanted to get their profession up to skill 100. There were alternative reasons for you to do those, even though to most people they would look at them and go, this is flipping scam territory. But yeah, I agree. That scenario was flipping ridiculous. It just shouldn't have happened. What am I in combat with? Weird that you can fly with these boxes, but as soon as you land, you end up going super slow mode. I think we only need to give 3 deliveries, though. Oh, yeah, 3 deliveries. There's one. Oh, yeah. Used to not be able to fly with it. Jesus.
It certainly isn't
Beautiful.
slashing through Sareki loyalists, but these supplies will greatly further our goals. Excellent work.
I mean, I don't think it'll all be that long now before we can start seeing what their plans are for the next expansion with Midnight. And this is where, you know, these thoughts and this feedback becomes at its most constructive. So, I mean, if you have strong feelings in any direction about what you would like to see with professions and stuff, now's a good time to start thinking about it, if nothing else.
I need a discreet supply of messenger beasts. Climb the pillar nest and obtain smaller swarmites for me. I will see you compensated. Oh, and don't get caught.
I hope concentration goes. You can't beat its goal per hour. Just another expansion of dumb. Want more gold, make more toon, click button. The problem is concentration is used by goblins on an alt army scale to do exactly that. But I don't think they'll get rid of concentration simply because what it actually does for the rest of the player base is make the professions... Well, the problem is they didn't sell it very well. This is a scenario of having a good product but selling it badly. Because Dragonflight had a real problem with the... If you were any less than absolutely 100% min-maxed with your profession, you basically shouldn't... The right answer was to not bother, which is kind of a bad outcome. Because you were never, ever, 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 without being able to catch up and to be 100% min-max, you were never going to be able to compete on price with what crafters were already doing and already putting on the auction house. So it basically meant if you picked up professions any later than the first week of Dragonflight, you're at a distinct disadvantage from day one. Which is very hard to argue against. That's just a bad system. Concentration has come along and allowed people a way to produce higher quality tier stuff, albeit at a very small quantity. A quantity that's big enough for personal consumption, but maybe not big enough to mass profit from. They've made it so that there is reason still for players to tinker with the professions. That your potion might be 500 gold on the auction house. You might be able to spin up an alchemist for 20,000-30,000 gold. And then, you know, get your crafting cost of that potion down to a fraction of that price by using Q2 materials and some concentration. Just enough to, you know, cover your own needs. But it's not until you take it to an alt army scale. That's Goblin doing Goblin things there. You know, Goblins have found the path of least resistance to make the most gold in the least amount of time. And the scale factor there is just use lots of alts. But I don't think that's reason enough to remove it, because I do genuinely think that concentration works, or would work, significantly more effectively. And the reason I say would work is because, like I said at the beginning, I think they've really missold it. In essence, nobody flipping knows that concentration is their ticket to basically self-sufficiency via professions. Anybody who's a raid logger, anybody who engages in Mythic Plus in a reasonable amount of time, should have a character that has a basic alchemist on it and a basic enchanter on it. They log on every couple of days and make the enchants that they need for their main characters, make their potions they need for their main characters, and they probably never need to buy anything off the auction house. And will probably then look at the auction house as like, why would I pay twice as much for my, you know... So I think, actually, concentration is a very, very clever system, and I hope it doesn't go away. But I can understand why it looks kind of dumb and you might want it to go away. Kind of want less seasonality. Right now, I'm choosing to not engage hard with professions rather than feeling like I can't. And that makes a huge difference to the level of enjoyment from them. That's interesting. Barring the crazy long catch-up, I get to engage with the professions as much or as little as I actually want. Count cap, then an easy fix. Oh, on concentration. Question then becomes is where do you cap it? What do you feel is like? At what point do you say you've had enough fun? This is another issue. At what point do you know? At what point do you say to players you've had enough fun here? Let's say, you know, each profession could have a maximum of 10,000 stored. Would you then I don't know. A warband wide concentration. These were, you know, these were thoughts that were thrown around in the early development of concentration. Is it something that should be per character? Is it something that should be warband wide?
We need intelligence. Take pictures of the Nerubians and Livia's patients with this borrowed stealth disc.
The reality I tend to think, though, is that if, say, concentration goes account wide, goblins will always find something incredibly optimal and incredibly boring to do. At the moment, it's concentration alts. Relatively boring to set up the same profession to a minimum standard 100 times. Relatively boring to log in for 2 minutes on every character every few days to craft a bunch of random shit. Like, it's not fun, but like you said, the gold per hour can't really be argued. The issue is goblins will just find the next most boring thing that produces the most amount of gold. The problem doesn't go away, the problem just moves. Which is why I tend to not think it's a great idea to hemorrhage a system that is actually, for a lot of the player base, working really quite well. Once you realise that concentration is like a mini go print money button, that you don't have to pay the outlandish prices on the auction house for some stuff. You can take your flask cost from 500 a piece down to 300 a piece with a little bit of a mini alchemy setup. Or you could have more gold and be willing to buy tokens and be quite willing to pay that premium for somebody else to already do it for you. The convenience tax of the auction house is still a thing that some people will be more than willing to pay. Cooking's my favourite example of that. Every single person has the ability to level cooking and make their own food, but look how flipping explosive the feast market is at the beginning of a new patch. Why? Because half the people can't be asked to level cooking. They're willing to pay the premium to let somebody else do it. It's not because of lack of opportunity there, it's more of a case of they just cannot be bothered. But if more people understood concentration, they'd be able to have some very, very dumb basic entry-level profession stuff. Don't need, you know, fancy min-max specs. Don't need tier 5 profession tools. You can have a real rudimentary profession setup that will allow you once or twice a week to press a couple of buttons, use your concentration, make some potions and flasks for yourself at a cheaper rate. The only reason more people don't use that is because Blizzard just hasn't told people that that's how it works. The only people who have figured that out is people who actually try and utilize the profession so then make more money than they need, you know. It'll be funny to see if they keep concentration in the next expansion, how many people will figure that out though. People tend to be, I've noticed this, people are usually an expansion behind. Whatever is the meta one expansion, people try and learn from the past expansion and then try and replicate the same thing the next expansion. What actually ends up happening is the meta has moved, the meta has changed, or that market just becomes so outrageously saturated that it isn't the meta anymore. Concentration armies could also very easily be rebalanced so that they are nowhere near as effective as well, by the way. The only reason it's as prominent now is because enchanting uses a ludicrous amount of materials. If enchanting didn't use like 3 times as many materials as any other craft in the game, it wouldn't be anywhere near as profitable. And nobody really screams about, you know, inscription or alchemy or jewel crafting concentration anywhere near as much. So they could definitely nullify the opportunity with it if they wanted to, without actually changing anything. $10k per profession. It's even worse since any crafter can then craft 100 crafts every 4 days and the market would be even more flooded. But you would, like, it would have to be structured, I would imagine, such as that you would have a per character cap, as we do now, of no more than 1,000. But then your warband, if you have multiple of the same profession, can hold up to 10,000 in total. It would add, I would genuinely think it would add yet even more confusion to an already mostly confusing system for many. Well, I don't think they will. It's another one where, you know, you can fix a problem, but are you fixing it by creating 2 more? Flat account cap of 1k.
The orphans of Merodar have been asking to play with you again. I think they'd appreciate it if you visited them.
Don't know. I wonder if that level of restriction would be put in place. It kind of...
Are you from
The question then becomes, what's the point of it full stop then? I don't know. Yeah, I can see where your concern comes from with it, but I'm not sure there's an elegant solution. I don't know. We'll see. The alpha's not going to be that long, surely. It's got to drop in September by my calculations. Where the flipping hell are we going? Stairs?
You're weird looking.
Found you. Gotcha. Oh, Jesus, we got to do that 4 times. The following expansion, the meta never works. I'll be surprised if concentration works in midnight. Well, look at like, yeah, tailoring bolts, for example. The cooldown tailoring bolts were, you know, pretty big business for people throughout most of Dragonflight. For those who got set up. I know Goldson's lurking and Goldson's listening, so he's going to be cringing at this, but I somewhat use him as a bit of an example here. I hope he doesn't mind. So, for example, you know, tailoring bolts were big business in one expansion, but then when more and more people learned that that was the way that you could make some gold, that same theory being copy-pasted into the next expansion then didn't actually work as well. Now, there was a few reasons behind that. One being that the bolts were then... the bolts were then not necessarily utilized anywhere near as much in this expansion. And secondly, with the addition of concentration, you could actually... there wasn't so much of a shortage of them either, so... Calling it now, leatherworking going to be the meta next expansion then? What, because it's absolutely trashed here now? Yeah, maybe. That's why I like the mog farming and selling. It's so much easier than all the speculating, doing the maths and needing 5 Excel sheets. Yeah, it's the easy life, isn't it? It's definitely the easy life.
Why are monsters mean?
Wait, did I just slap that kid? Get credit for a world quest by slapping a kid. Sure.
Grown-ups say, be careful in the dark.
What am I throwing a rock at?
I can hear their laughter already.
Apparently that.
Thank you, friend.
This is why the professions are quite divisive. They've made it so much now that those people who want to take the time and the effort to work stuff out, figure stuff out, and gain some enjoyment from it, have the opportunity for like more enjoyment, I guess is the best way to describe it. There's more to play with, there's more to tinker with, but at the same time that comes with the cost of those that just wanted to use professions to, you know, semi-AFK in between, you know, just kill time in between arena queues and wanted to make a little bit of gold, now don't really look at the professions as a way to do that because it requires brain power to do. Brain power that they weren't really looking to spend on a, you know, a side hustle in the first place. And hence why those players now look at the professions and are like, ugh, not doing that. It's difficult. This is why it's probably very, very hard for Blizzard to balance this. And I'm quite sure internally Blizz devs have very similar... Because let's not forget, there'll be Blizzard devs who play the game and create the game who will share all of these same opinions. There'll be some Blizzard devs that absolutely flip and despise the profession system. And then there'll be some devs that it's their baby and they absolutely love it. They're at least we hope, they're players of the game as well. So it's kind of it's kind of interesting to see what what the direction they go with it, to be honest. Right, give me 2 minutes, boys and girls. I'm going to take a quick ad break, stretch my legs, and then we'll be back in 2. Alrighty. Okay. Found a weird bug. If you have any gear poor characters, do the Undermine weekly quest. You get both a Season 2 weekly cache and a Season 3 weekly cache, and both give Season 3 loot. Yeah, that's very unintended. That's very bug-like. I wouldn't in great confidence suggest people do that. Okay, we have cleaned the map of world quests, all apart from one special assignment. One special assignment, one pet quest. Venture loot though, doubt it's going to get fixed quickly. Yeah, it's also not massively impactful then, is it, I suppose?
We are the holders of hope. Keep an eye on the Dawn Towers.
Definitely a weird one though. Once people figure out concentration, it'll become less lucrative for alt armies. Yeah, I mean, even now, like, nobody ever says anything other than enchanting. And there's, when you understand the system and how it works, you quickly understand why enchanting works is that it uses 3 times as many materials, and the source for those materials is very different to most other professions as well, which has an impact.
Some links get lost in the darkness. They're nocturnal, but it's dangerous. Bring them home.
Because when all enchanting materials have to come from disenchanting in somewhat shape or form, minus a little bit of storm dust because of the thaumaturgy. So at least gleaming shards and the crystally doodahs have to come from disenchanting in some way, shape or form. You can't get quality 1 without getting quality 2 and quality 3. And the fact that you can recraft using lower quality dust to give yourself a second chance at higher tiered dust. There's a bit of a... The enchanting materials are you can't really acquire one without acquiring the others. So it's kind of Dragonflight-esque, where you have this kind of waste byproduct, which pushes the lower quality stuff down and the higher quality stuff up. Then on top of the fact that the enchants are using like often 100+ materials, means that the delta between a quality 2 and a quality 3 material, multiply that by 100, that all of a sudden is your profit margin for concentration, and hence why enchanting concentration is the go-to. The closest alternative is often considered to be jewel crafting, and that's because the gem dust has a similar mechanic, and that there's a big delta in price between quality 3 and quality 2 and quality 3 gem dust because of how it's acquired. And you need, like, is it 25 of it, I think, for each gem cut? But that's still nowhere near the, like, 75 to 100 materials you need to make a single enchant. So it is within within the realms of possibility that just gets balanced out for Midnight. Without them actually changing the system in any way, shape or form, they could balance it more so. Now knowing just what impact concentration might have on the economy, what players might do with it, they could be like, you know what, maybe we'll make it so that, concentration value is more or less equal across the board. Could very easily be balanced that way. It's just not something post-release they're going to bother doing. They either balance it before it goes live, or that's not hot fix territory. They ain't going to ever mess around with that, which is why they've just let it happen the entire expansion. Yeah, plus stacking the fact that the catch-up system for enchanting is vastly faster than the others. But the irony is you still don't really need it. You don't really need it. Yes, you can catch up your knowledge points faster, but it still comes at a cost. You know, those decks aren't free. It's cheaper than patron orders, ironically, still, and faster. So, yeah, I'm not arguing it's definitely an advantage, but these are other things that would be easily balanced out if they really wanted to, without changing the mechanics of the system. Not putting my bonus accounts to much use right now, am I? Slacking. Keep them doing some thaumaturgy later. Get these. Too many quests in me log. The interesting thing actually is it feels like this first patch of this first week of the season is unironically quite a good week to catch up on dumb shit that you just didn't bother doing in the past 2 patches. Because there isn't that, oh, I really need to do my, I really need to do my delves this week, or I really want to push my M+ score, or it's Wednesday evening, I've got to go raid. Because there isn't any of that, it's kind of like it's a new patch, but also, well, how about you just finish off a few of the things you didn't finish off? I wonder how many people capped the Nightfall rep this week that just hadn't bothered previously. Because you can snag some reasonably easy veteran gear from it. And I reckon Heroic Visions probably fall into the same category. Anybody that didn't touch Heroic Visions or wasn't playing when it came out has now looked at Heroic Visions and gone, wait, what? A 691 weapon from a Heroic Vision by doing a 5 mask? Alright, I'll quickly go do that. It's kind of a bit of a spring clean catch-up week almost. It feels odd. Hence why I'm out here doing flipping dumb world quests. In some regards, benefiting from doing them. Wait, hang on. This isn't even the right world quest, is it? Ha! This is part of the flipping Nightfall thing. This is the... Oh, Jesus. It just looks like a world quest on my map, and I wasn't paying any attention. Antheus on autopilot again. Right, maybe we'll finish this world quest off, then we'll go and have a little bit of a look at this this mount quest thing that apparently we've unlocked at Renown 9. Boom. Okie dokie. Okay, that's got us... Still stuff on my map I need to do, but that's got us most of the stuff done. Where do we pick this up then? Stealing what is ours. Back in Tazavesh. Quickest way to Tazavesh. Probably Hearth to the city. Then figure something out. Oh, Season 3 cash. Open that. Orivate adventure gear. Not the worst thing to pop out of a piece of worst thing to pop out of a box. I'm mostly ignoring adventure gear though.
I understand your frustration, Leora, but do not
Even
rush
though
to
some of this adventure
conclusions.
gear can be upgraded to a higher item level than what I've got equipped, it's usually only in places where I've got set pieces. And a set piece is still going to have more value to me than a few item levels. I don't want to break a set bonus for a few item levels. We'll wait until we just replace the set, I think. That might be completely the wrong decision, I don't know.
The answers are here. I can feel it.
Yeah, we're not
Keep your
doing the
eyes on
underpin.
horizon.
Pick up the quest so it's no longer on our map. This is what I didn't do actually. What's the market exchange today?
You have my attention.
Oh my god. It's definitely not herb day. Definitely not herb day.
These Shadow Guard dogs will not deter us.
And oh, it's ore day. Today is the day to exchange your ore. Q3 bismuth. Today is the day. And would I be right in saying even Q2? It's the most expensive quality 2 and quality 1 stuff. I guess it doesn't matter. Today's the day you exchange your quality 3 Desolus stuff though. Swap it out for bismuth.
Spend your time wisely.
Benari is called in a lot of favours to get the Oasis reclamation effort off the ground. Plenty of Tazavesh merchants have donated to the cause, though some have seen fit to help themselves instead. A large shipment of status-sealed items was stolen from the docks by an untrustworthy importer. Could use some of your skill to recover the shipment. Okay.
You have my attention.
What he told him, I have no idea what happened to his missing goods. I find this acquisition of thievery deeply insulting. Mind if I have a look about?
Too long to fail now.
Apparently so. Apparently he doth mind. Do you want a job? Okay, interesting. Pick up some stuff then. The missing imports. Yoink, 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 yoink. Blueberry. Pack up Blueberry and leave. Right then, Blueberry, where are we going? Turn him to the missing imports. Turn the missing imports over here. Come on, yo. Can we mount up? Not. Oh no. Round mounts are not allowed here. Come on then, Barrett. Let's go. Chop, chop now. How do we get where we're going? Okay, I did it. After getting another Mechanica today, I bought the missing pets. So you're officially Mechanica Pets done. Congrats. Done with the Undermine except for Galliwix's normal mount. Fair play.
Everything is negotiable.
Stop by tomorrow and I'll have these items all sorted out. Ow!
For you,
Oh!
only the finest.
Sure, okay, fine. You'll enjoy the next bit. Thanks, man.
All goods
Thanks.
and services for sale.
Yeah, I worked really hard to unlock that time-gated quest line. Fuck. Oh, you lot saw that coming a mile away, I bet.
I have many lucky doos you like. Good fortune to our friends.
Okay. Breathe. Right. Got plenty of rares I haven't killed today. Which rares haven't we killed that drop shit that I want? This Urmag dude has a mount on him. We could and should nuke his ass about 500 times, shouldn't we? I don't think a single player that unlocked that quest hasn't said, is that it? Yeah, yeah. Right. This Urmag dude needs to die many a time. He has Mog that I need, he has Mount that I need. We are in as good, if not better position than most to kill him lots of times. Let's do exactly that. That mount has a high drop rate. Okay. Well, that's a solid start then. There he is. This dude, right? Yeah. No, son of a... Sure. Get some of these dudes over there. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I just coughed straight into the mic. That probably was a disastrously bad idea. Right. Get some of these dudes over here and all. Out. Wait, what? Why is me... Oh. That's funny. I apparently have never set up the one button macro on these dudes. I'm also concerned these guys have got negative gear. Whoops. This is not the team of dudes I should have gone starting to kill mobs with, should I? Yes, negative gear is the word. Maybe let's not aggro quite so many stuff. Oh, be the devil. Oh wait, we've effed. Fucking OBS has died. OBS is dead. Are we back? Are we saved? No. Still not saying that it's doing anything properly, is it? Hang on, please hold. Are we saved? Are we good? No. It's fucking toast. It's toast. Why is OBS being a dick? Why is the connection to Twitch being stupid? I don't think I have any option here but to completely kill it dead. The fact that it still works on YouTube is kind of very weird. Okay. I think it's food time. Boys and girls, I think it's food time. For any of you still able to see or hear on YouTube, thank you for sticking by. I'm going to have to totally reset OBS for some reason because it's killed the stream to Twitch. I don't know why. Thank you for joining. We'll be back tomorrow. I think that's the best plan of action. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. Peace.